Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on the Thursday before Christmas? It's our last show of the week. Hope your week is going well. And, man, we're starting to get down to Mark Miller territory here in terms of last minute. We're just about entering the Miller zone here.
I love this zone. I love this zone. I feel like Reggie against the Knicks.
Really?
This is where I excel as a shopper. This is where I'm at my best. I am a terrific mall parker. See, some people are not. No. Some people don't get good parking spots. I have luck with two things: green lights, and I know how to navigate a parking lot, so I usually get a pretty good parking spot quickly.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's just observation of people. Most people don't pay attention.
Okay.
It's just simple. Buzz in, buzz out. I was at Miramar yesterday, made 2 stops, 2 different parking stops, in and out in 10 minutes, bobbing and weaving people. Looked like I was running routes.
Do you
Looked like Cooper Kupp going into the store yesterday.
Really?
I did.
Do you follow people to their cars? Are you one of those where all of a sudden they come out of the store and they're going and they got a cart, they got stuff, they're heading to their car. You get the sense, oh, they're close. And next thing you know, you just kind of pull up behind them. You're going at their pace. Then you give them just a little bit of room at the end so they got room to back up. You one of those?
Yes, but not right from the door. That's very rookie-esque. You got to pick them up in the parking lot, so you don't want to wait that long.
It is obnoxious. I literally led a car on a chase one time. I was so honked off. All right, my car was like 4 cars in, and they got right behind me, and I walked like the end of the row.
I've done it a million times. Love you for it, David. Not surprised at all.
Come on, you and I are the ones who start counting in the 10 and under line. 11, 12, 13. So, of course, we're going to lead somebody.
And it's when you just make a 3-row move. And they're just left there.
Right.
Like in a car chase going, what just happened?
Yeah, wait, he just made a right
the
turn.
Banana in the tailpipe right there, if you know what I mean.
He just made a right turn from left lane. What's he doing there? He was walking down this lane. What do you mean his car's over there?
And he went back 6 cars, too, so I've got to back up. Yeah, no. David, this started a long time ago for me. Actually, I was not a good hockey player, but I played in high school. And when this time of year, you'd have practice, instead of at 6 or 7 in the morning, you'd actually have it at 9 or 10 in the morning because we weren't in school. And high school kids, where do you go after 10 o'clock in the morning? Chris, hey, let's all go to the mall. Let's get breakfast. Let's go to the mall. And then can you imagine 16, 18 kids doing the same thing all at once because you've got the 10 best spot and get in your car and then get back out and walk in? Oh, no. It's not the first time I've done that. I'm proud of you, though. It is.
Thank you.
And this time of year, it is an extra D-bag move.
I wave at him. How you doing? Merry Christmas.
But today is Festivus, David, for the rest of us.
December 23rd.
And today is the day that I would like to let all of our listeners use today's show to air their sports grievances.
Oh, I'm glad you narrowed it
I
down.
handle the grievances. We're not all that.
We all have grievances.
Correct.
So sports grievances. You want to hear from the peeps?
I want to hear from them.
Get it off your chest.
FSN Radio, 21,000.
That's it?
I want their
easy?
grievances. I want them in the Twitch chat room. I want them on Twitter. I want grievances today.
Wow.
I want people to get some things off their chest.
Usually we go out of our way so that we don't incite this from our audience. So this is how you want to spend the last show before Christmas, huh?
Yeah, I think people deserve it. It has been a long
2 years.
Correct.
And by the way, imagine if you had a bad 2019.
Ugh.
Some years are just flat better and worse than others. So imagine if you had a bad 2019, but 2020 was lining up to be a great year. You're like, boy, honey, it's a good thing we got to 2020, and that's going to be our year.
Can I ask a realistic question right now? Does anybody even remember 2019?
I do, only for this reason. 2020 was shaping up to be the best year of our married lives. We were traveling.
That's
we had
right.
plans. We were going to Vegas.
That's right. The wife was turning 50.
Yep.
And that was like April, May, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that was right after.
Oh, yeah. Her birthday's first few days of April. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was right off the hopper. Right as I was starting my kindergarten teaching career, my quest for the golden apple.
Right. Teaching award they give in Southwest Florida for those in the Tampa St. Pete area.
I think that's
Is it?
I think that's a national thing.
That is?
I think.
I've had never heard of it before.
David, there's a lot of things they didn't do when we were younger.
Well, that's true.
I mean, just think about it.
There's also a lot of things they did do.
Yeah, they hit us.
Right. They beat us.
Right. They didn't give us a trophy just for participating.
Right. You had to go to one bus stop. Okay. You had to go find it, make sure you made the bus. They didn't drop you off in front of your house. All right. I didn't realize that busing became Uber.
I will say that the Twitch chat room very early on has not forgiven our producer.
Damn.
If you were listening to the show yesterday, Felipe, our young 21-year-old, got the job of his life producer.
He doesn't realize it yet, and he won't for a while.
Decided that he was hungry during the show yesterday. And as any 21-year-old you would do, he went to DoorDash to order some breakfast. What he did not even think about, and I mean did not give an ounce of thought. He didn't look up and say, hey, guys, I'm ordering breakfast. Do you guys want anything?
Nope.
And so breakfast showed up. He's all excited. He's got all this food. And I just looked at him. I said, did you think to ask us if we wanted anything?
Right. You know, beefy and fatty. Right.
So PFB in the Twitch chat room, we have a joke between the two of us. When's the a-hole moment come? It came from PFB, who said, good morning, all. See what I did there, Philly? I included others.
606, by the way, first gripe that I can see. Teacher Tim, I'm a Bears fan. Matt Nagy, I have a lot of issues with you. Where should I begin? Here's mine. Wearing the whole visor at night.
That really has got you bothered.
It doesn't make any sense.
What about a hat at night? Does that make any sense?
No.
Guys wear hats at night. Do you have a problem with that?
Yes.
What is it about Coach Spurrier that has you up at
Coach Spurrier always played his game seemingly at 3:30 in the afternoon on CBS. They were really good then.
I think I guarantee you there's video of a South Carolina night game where the ball coach has got a visor on.
I'm sure of it. It just, to me, it looks ridiculous.
So that's it? Of all of the sports...
I was just being flippant. He was talking about Matt Nagy.
Oh,
He said, I have a lot of issues with you. And I agree with him. I go, but I would like to start with
I got you. I'm sorry. All right. I was going to say, if all your sports grievances are tiled up in coaches wearing visors at night, I don't know what's happened to you, David. Because there was a time, David, that I could have literally said, air your sports grievances, walked out of the room, driven to Wendy's for that breakfast, come back, and you might still be on number one.
Hell, you could have gone home. So that's the show today. Festivus for the rest of us. The airing of sports grievances. Sports grievances. Would you be the one that would send in like one text and it would be 13 things? Or would you just keep every 10 minutes throughout the show, just keep sending, and another thing?
B. It would be another thing because I think, and this is what I'm hoping for. As people listen to the show at their leisure via millerandmoulton.com and all the places you can download the show, that the text line will continue to get action all throughout the Christmas weekend. And people will continue to air their sports grievances right up until we come back on Monday. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping there are a lot of sports grievances out there.
Sonny's sports grievance is that the University of Michigan is good at football this year.
Boy, brother, I'm with you. I've not seen these many block M's out in so long. They're everywhere.
And good for them.
For how long?
They'll be out all year. They'll be out all year. They'll be out the first 10 and a half months of 2022 also. Absolutely. They beat the Buckeyes. They won the Big Ten championship. They're in the national playoffs. All right. Wear it loud, wear it proud. Absolutely. Even if they lose a couple early next year, if they lose against your Spartans, like, that's okay.
If Georgia were to win and cover, I don't think the block M's would be out at the rate they are now. I think they'd be a little bummed out. I think they're starting to, in fact, I know they're done with Georgia. They're already waiting for Alabama.
No, they're not.
I'm around a lot more Michigan fans than you are. They are full of themselves, and they should be. They have every right to be. Been a remarkable year. But they're starting to get ring sizes. They're getting way.
Oh, no. You know different Michigan fans than I do. Let me tell you. You know more of them. That is for sure.
Just a couple more.
A few more. But every Michigan fan I know is just excited as you know what to be in the damn thing. Now, come December 31st, they're great. They're like, oh, man, I mean, you just get a shot at this.
And my Michigan friends were that way for the first few days after beating Ohio State. And then by about the 10th of December, it had turned from we did it to we're not done doing it. We just got done doing it, and we're going to do it again.
Nothing wrong with that, Mark.
No, there's not.
So today is Festivus. And in honor of Festivus, for the rest of us, the airing of your sports grievances, feel free on Miller and Moulton. Whether it's texting us, and if you do so regularly, great. If you never have before, well, you need to send one small text, all one word, FSN radio to 21,000. When you do that, you're in. Text us to your heart's content. Take us in. Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. Follow us, subscribe to us. There's a huge Twitch chat room, and knock yourself out. Miller and Moulton. Starting 5 is about 20 minutes away. It's our last show before Christmas. Thanks for waking up with us on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Helmet right under his chin and sends him about 5 feet backwards, and obviously there's no penalty. And it's at the Silverdome. The first comment I see underneath it is, glad he was unconscious before landing on that green spray painted cement. Oh, you're only allowed to put one.
Is the grievance the no playoff wins in forever? Johnny Mac, Lamar didn't practice yesterday. Needs to practice today. Gotcha. All right. Here's a grievance. I mean, I really don't care, but it's just, if we're listing grievances. What the hell are they doing naming the Pro Bowlers with 3 weeks left in the season?
Right? Oh my God, I was so confused. I was like, why are we jumping
When
the
do they
gun on
usually
the Pro
do
Bowl
that?
selection?
I thought they did it like last week of the season.
Right. Yes.
I mean, this seems. We've seen enough.
Yeah, go ahead, Brady. You're good.
Well, yeah, we're good. Wait, what?
Gosh. Like, oh, Tom Brady makes it.
Oh, there it is.
13
It is
Pro Bowl.
13 degrees. Rob Dunn's NBC2. It is 13 degrees colder than it was this time yesterday. Oh, my God. My grievances is the weather, people.
It's a rather obscure little.
I can't do it.
You're
Well,
picking on him for that. That's just a fact.
I was upset yesterday. My kid and I were talking about it, like the whole, or 2 days ago, the whole tornado thing. That they're going nuts about a tornado that knocked a pool cage down when basically there's a town in Kentucky that's not there anymore. Like, I found it offensive, the way they treated that windstorm.
I used it to my advantage for an Instagram
Well,
caption.
down here, it was a big deal.
In the moment, after they treated it like it was a hurricane, they're showing a pool cage down like the world ended. I mean, I forgot what I wanted to do. I was going to rip him yesterday and say, can we start to GoFundMe for whatever that town is in Kentucky who actually need help, or there's actually a problem, as opposed to your pool cage being down in South Fort Myers?
30
All right, I'm good. I won't do that on air, I promise.
I mean, he's spitting facts.
Tim, that was really nice. I appreciate it, but we're good. Thank you.
10 seconds.
I could Uber door eats grub.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"20 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, final show of the week. Hope you got Christmas taken care of. Otherwise, you're going to be out there like Mark Miller.
I was an assassin yesterday. I was a Christmas shopping assassin yesterday.
Didn't realize there was such a thing.
Steph Curry behind the line. It was so good.
Really?
Oh, man.
Wow. You were the microwave?
You know what? If you want to go old Piston references, I came off the bench and had a little Vinnie Johnson in me yesterday.
I did that for you.
Thank
As
you.
somebody who grew up in Michigan, I figured I'd hit you where you live there.
Put a big smile on my face. Made me feel good. There was a time when all those Detroit teams, other than the Lions, were pretty damn good.
And I used to love those designated sixth man guys in which it's like, listen, don't play any defense. Every time you get the ball, you better chuck it up. All right. First 5 shots. You make 2 of them, you stay in the game.
And then you had the other ones, though, like Bobby Jones for the Sixers would come in and play D.
Right.
They'd get off to a bad start where they
Right.
weren't playing D, and they're going to bring him in.
Yeah.
I want you to take a charge. I want you to block a shot. I want you to get a steal and get it to Doc.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Give me a little Andrew Toney. Okay. Yeah, bring him up. Well, give me a world B.
Well, don't start me with Andrew Toney because that shot was silky.
Yeah.
All right.
Those the Celtics about Andrew Toney.
No kidding. Those are not grievances, though, David.
No.
And you know what grievances? One thing about grievances, they last, David. They don't go away.
Today is Festivus, and it's for the rest of us, December 23rd, which is the airing of grievances. We want to hear your sports grievances.
Polls up and everything. Our Festivus poll is up, and I love this guy. He has problems, deep problems. But it's a very simple text. It's the first one he's ever sent to us.
Okay.
Miami Hurricanes lost to Ohio State in the 2002 national championship. That's his sports grievance.
Wow.
That's 19 years old.
Yes, it is.
About to be 20.
Oh, no, about to be 19.
About to be 19.
Yeah.
Was it-
Because it was early January of 03.
Okay, so it was the 02 season.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, this is a person also who does not want to listen to the truth. All right. Listen, the pass interference call was horrible. It was a bad call. All right. But what every Canes fan, and for the record, I was rooting for the Canes that day.
Both of us were.
We covered the Canes here in Southwest Florida. We had locals on the team. All right. We had covered the national championship season the year before. We had covered, when I was working in local television, the 2000 team, which really put Miami football back on the map there after a rough spell in the late 90s, finished number 2 in the country, probably should have played for the national title. Instead, they let Florida State play, even though the Canes beat the Noles that year. So this was a 3-year run, and I was rooting for them. But with 3 minutes to go in the game, and the Canes with not a lot of timeouts left, I think 1 or none, Ohio State had about a 3rd and 7, and they completed an out pass to Chris Vance on the sideline, and he was ruled out of bounds. He was in bounds. They did not have replay then. Ohio State had a punt. You got a good return. You moved it in the field goal range. You kicked the field goal. You went to overtime. If there's replay, if the officials get that call right, you're going to lose in regulation 17-14. Every Canes fan wants to ignore that point. And what is it that you always bring up?
4th and 14, David.
Thank you. You had put a touchdown on the board in overtime. You had them 4th and 14. You rushed 3 guys and blew an assignment in the zone and gave up a 16-yard out pattern. It's on you, okay? You screwed it up. You caught a big break, and then you screwed it up. And then, yes, you caught an awful break. But it's on you, okay? Get over it.
Yeah, you caught a bad break on your own. You know, at some point, you've got to – the breaks happen for reasons. This sports grievance, I can feel for this guy. We were talking about this yesterday, David. This guy says the Philadelphia Eagles. Then he says, nope, actually, Philadelphia is a whole right now. I hear you. I really hear you. As a Detroit sports fan, it has been rough. In fact, that when the hockey team that I root for in December is basically in the playoffs, it's the first time I've went, holy cow, look at that. And it's December. I got you. And I don't know when it's going to get better, Philadelphia sports fan. David, any thoughts on when the Philadelphia sports fan's going to be? I mean, they're never going to be happy, but when they're going to be happier than they are now?
You know, we thought that the winning of the Super Bowl would last. Didn't last. Here's the problem. Sixers haven't won a title since when? 83. Flyers haven't won a title since when? 75. That's the problem.
And as you pointed out yesterday, they've played for Lord Stanley's Cup in the final series several times. since 75.
I mean, not to bore people, but they were in the finals in 76, in 80, in 85, in 87, in 97, in 2010. I mean, that's off the top of my head, the times they've made it to the finals. I could rattle off 6 other times they made it to the conference finals.
Anybody else have a top of the head like that? I mean, do any of you have a top of the head? Because this is the top with, and I love.
Sorry about that.
No.
I think Mark Miller's sports grievance is David Moulton's ahead.
No. My grievance is that I don't have that same top of the head. I'm jealous.
Which, by the way, can serve as a coaster. All right. It can serve as a Matt Nagy visor.
A coaster for what? A Foster's oil can?
I think for landing one of Musk's ships. So we take off from on top of this head.
I mean, the Armed Forces Bowl was yesterday, and I think there was a launch from the top of your head. This person says, simple, the Cincinnati Red trade away talent for nothing.
You know, I can see where that would bother you because the Reds were close last year. In fact, if the Reds should have made the playoffs instead of the Cardinals, they had the far easier schedule in the final month, and they were awful. Of course, it didn't hurt that the Cardinals won like 17 in a row.
This person has an issue with Peyton Manning.
Whoa, you don't hear that very often.
No, you don't. His grievance is that Peyton Manning has never once thanked Rick Grossman for his 05 Colts Super Bowl victory. Kyle Orton wins that game. That's
okay.
funny. That's funny.
That's good.
Funny's funny,
That's-
David, and
that's
that's
good.
funny.
That's good material there. It is. People forget that Super Bowl. All right. Colts won that Super Bowl by running the ball. Peyton wasn't actually that good in it. Peyton actually didn't have a really good – he played in 4 Super Bowls. He didn't have a really good game in any of the 4. I mean, the best game he had was the one he threw the pick 6 in that cost him the game. I mean, he was very average against that Bears defense. They ran the ball down their throat that day. Then, threw the pick 6 against the Saints, and he was playing great up until the fourth quarter.
Right. And then the Denver game
got bombed against the Seahawks, and the Denver game, I mean, heck, he could barely throw the ball. He let the defense do the job.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You could still consider him, if you want, the greatest quarterback of all time. He'd certainly be on the short list, but played in 4 Super Bowls. Really only played a good game in one of them.
Boy, I got to tell you, this Twitch chat room is something. I know that I'm tough on people and can hold a grudge, but I'm starting to feel sorry for Felipe while I read the Twitch chat room comments. Not that much.
Right. Right before the show started, Mark did ask Felipe, hey, I'm hungry. You want anything? Never mind.
Johnny Mac, does Felipe even share his Christmas cookies?
Oh, come on.
And if I started to let people know that we had to make 3 wake-up calls for Felipe this morning, then they'd really give it to him. Oh, whoops, I just did.
Some of the responses in the Twitch chat room. Today's Festivus, the airing of the sports grievances. Feel free. That's what we're here for. Teacher Tim, why are people still putting ketchup on hot dogs at sporting events? You see how he worked it in there?
That's very good.
Okay. Nice.
Because they allow ketchup to be at sporting events.
Yeah, they put it right there.
I blame the Steelers.
That's where you think it started?
Heinz Field.
J.S. Minnick in our Twitch chat room, all he typed was Dan 8* Snyder. Wow. I think you're on to something, J.S. OK Music says, what's my problem? I have a grievance in every sport, and I love sports.
That is one of the fantastic things about the sports fan, David. And that's why I thought this show would be fun today, is that at the end of the day, we are all, Miller, Moulton, Felipe, all of you listening, pretty damn big sports fans, or we wouldn't be listening to a sports radio station or certainly not hosting a sports talk show. Yet we all have a ton of grievances.
Right.
With sport.
You think we all need to lighten up Francis? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Go Raiders 49 just says the tuck rule. I'll never get over it.
Yeah, you and Charles Woodson both. You and Charles Woodson both, and Gruden, for that matter. Johnny Mack is a Ravens fan. His grievance is injuries.
Should be. You got a pretty good football team if it were healthy.
I think there's a few teams we can say that about, unfortunately.
I mean, the AFC, how would it look if the Titans and Ravens were healthy? No idea. But it would certainly look differently than it does right now.
So that's the kind of show we're going to have today. Don't worry, we're going to talk a little this and a little that, but feel free throughout the show, our last show before Christmas, to air your sports grievances on this Festivus.
For the rest of us.
Miller and Moulton, the starting five is next. Thanks for listening, Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. So she was doing cartwheels. I'm like, remember, you got to. And she rolls her eyes and, she's doing the finish pose. I go, you hate the posing. No, she's, I despise it, Dad. So I'm like, well, that's good. I go, just think you're making fun of me when you're doing it. I go, well, you got to find something.
Right.
Find something that will make you do it.
For your mom.
Yeah, or what. And I was just so funny. You hate the posing. Eat it, Dad. It's like I did. And I know what she's saying. I did it. You saw me do it. Why do I need to put my arms up here like this to prove that I'm done? I just cracked up. I'm like, okay, probably not the sport for you. Probably need to go back to softball or soccer.
Right. That's okay.
Well, that's all. That's my hope. I just want this to last for another 3 years because I think the flat out strength training they get from this is unflipping believable.
Gymnasts athletically are amazing.
I put it this way: if I would have gone girl boy, my boy at 2 years old would have been in gymnastics. Not with the intention of being a gymnast, but it's like I watch these little kids doing. Like, you could have a big fat lineman that was in there; he'd be ahead of the game. I didn't realize that this was. I mean, when's the last time Tennessee's been good at basketball?
Actually, Barnes is turning around the last couple of years. Wow, you're going back to Tom Olivadotti. You do know that's the 80s, right?
Wow.
No, Raiders, it was totally screwed up. The tuck rule, that was ridiculous.
Gritty is the best thing in Philly sports in the last 4 years. Pathetic. That's an accurate statement right there.
God, he is so horrifying.
Gritty's awesome.
I mean, it's awesome, but it's also.
I think it's the best sports PR turnaround I've ever seen. When that thing came out, no one
bombed. Absolutely
no one has ever bombed as bad as Gritty bombed. Fell on the ice. They was getting booed by his own fans, and then because Philly fans are ruthless.
Of course, they were booing him,
and they're booing Gritty, and then all of a sudden they took him on every show. He's on John Oliver. He's on the.
They started. Somebody there was smart enough to pay attention to all the shows that were making fun of him. All right, and whether they then called up those shows and said, "Hey, okay, yeah, we'll go along with this. You want Gritty on the show? I mean, what have you? Or keep doing it." And they went with it.
Yeah.
And when Gritty started doing John Oliver,
Yes, that's yeah.
That I think that was the turning point.
It's the Flyers' first mascot, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The concept of it they didn't like. Flyers fans were like, we don't need a mascot. We're the Flyers. We're a really good, solid hockey organization. This is something the Carolina Hurricanes need, in their eyes. A really young franchise.
Yeah.
The Florida Panthers, they felt, needed
Right.
one of these.
Old franchises, it's like when the Red Sox got Wally.
I'm not even, but I know you're right. I know they did it, but
I only know Wally because we did a couple events when we were here, spring training. I did a couple events at Home Depot. And Wally was there. It was some Home Depot they had the trophy there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, when they won the first one, when we were on this station in the afternoons, hey, look at these. I can say a million, and I don't care. I can say a million horrible things about this place. They can sell. They've always been able to sell. Any one of their stations, any promotions, they're terrific at it.
See, I know about Wally because of that Sports Center commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Hey, Wally.
That's
Wally.
right.
What? It's not what you think.
That's right.
Why do people still talk NBA basketball on Sports Talk Radio?
They talk it nonstop other than this show.
Tim, the Heat did go to the finals just a year ago.
We were in the finals less than 2 years ago. Talking about old Jamal Crawford, that 6-man role. No defense, just straight buckets. Oh, yeah.
But the Celtics signing Joe Johnson.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
On this December 23rd, Festivus, the airing of grievances, we are going to play along today. It has to be a sports grievance, however.
Because we don't have the time.
No.
And you don't either.
No. We don't want to go down that road. How about if we just keep it to sports?
I do like Jeff's grievance here in the Twitch chat room. Well, actually, he's watching on Facebook. He says, my sports grievance is the Dolphins offering the 22 season ticket package yesterday. Do you have the one that starts at the midpoint of the season when they actually start winning games?
Well played. Well played. I love the guy in the Twitch chat room here who's complaining about Tom Olivedotti's prevent defense. That's the 80s Dolphins. The 80s. Come on, dude. Snap out of it.
No kidding.
You got a lot to complain about between then and now.
Heck, just the last couple of years. I think, first off, if you have a sports grievance, I think I know what yours is from the standpoint of this show and what we do, is how bad the Dolphins have been. I've been working with you a long time.
Selfishly, as a sports talk show host, 2 hours from where they play, our lives would have been a lot better if they could have given us something more than what they have given us in the 20 plus years that we have been 2 hours from where they play.
And for that matter, the Bucs were the same way until last year.
Yes, thank you, Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank
here
you
we
so
are,
much.
and we're thrilled. I mean, you don't understand. For those of you listening to Tampa St. Pete, we are thrilled to be on in that market.
Thank you, Tom.
And we're both. I would say the Lightning is our second favorite team each. I mean, I'm a diehard Red Wing fan, but after that, I've always had a soft spot for the Lightning. I worked for their first affiliate in AAA. You and I have been to many a Lightning game since we've worked together. You like the way they run their organization. You're a diehard Ranger fan, but if it's not the Rangers, I think you'd want the Lightning to always do well. I don't know if they're your second favorite team, but they are mine.
Yeah, love everything about them.
And so the Lightning have been pretty solid throughout our time here. They've probably been the best franchise pro franchise since we've been here. I don't think it's close. Well, the Heat maybe during the Heat had a pretty good run while we were here.
Yeah, it'd be Lightning versus Heat.
Yeah.
In the last 20 years. Yeah,
and then the football teams are somewhere else.
Please, the Rays are third. But so the airing of your sports grievances. That's what we are here for today. Our last show before Christmas. Right now, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Hey, glad you enjoyed last night because we're back to playing NFL football, folks. Thursday night football, last one of the year, NFL Network only. Worth pointing out, NFL Network only. The Niners are a 3-point favorite in Nashville against the Tennessee Titans. The left side of Tennessee's offensive line is out. Taylor Lewan, Roger Saffold. Out. Everybody's got a little bit of COVID and a few others out injured. San Francisco 3-point favorite. They're 8-6. Titans are 9-5 with a 1-game lead in the South, although they do own the tiebreaker against the Colts. And speaking of the Colts, Mark, they lead all of the NFL in the number of Pro Bowlers on their team. Yes, that's right. With 20% of the season still to be played, the NFL has decided who the Pro Bowlers are. Apparently, the home stretch of the regular season, the most important games of the year, don't mean a damn thing as to who makes the Pro Bowl. Colts have 7 Pro Bowlers. Chargers and Chiefs each with 6. Interesting. Herbert, Mahomes, Lamar, the 3 Pro Bowl quarterbacks in the AFC. The starter, Justin Herbert. Dallas, San Francisco, Tampa Bay in the NFC lead the way with 5 Pro Bowlers each. The Pro Bowlers for the Bucks, Mr. Brady, and then 3 offensive linemen, Wirfs, Ryan Jensen, and Ali Marpet. Throw in Shaquille Barrett on defense, and there are your 5 Pro Bowlers. Dolphins have 1, Xavier Howard, cornerback. 4 rookies, Mark, were elected to the Pro Bowl. Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, Rashawn Slater, and Micah Parsons. 6 teams did not have a Pro Bowler. 6.
Okay. Jacksonville. Do you have them listed?
I sure do.
Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants.
Uh-huh. Now, that's easy. I mean, those are the really bad teams in the league. Right. All right. The one other is surprising.
Philadelphia.
No. Denver. Now, think about that. They are 7-7, and yet deemed by their peers not to have a single great player or single player having a great season. There are a lot of people that believe that Vic Fangio, if they don't make the playoffs, is going to be replaced as coach. Isn't this actually an endorsement by the rest of the league?
Absolutely.
As to the job that he and his coaching staff are doing? Basically, the league said, we don't think you guys have a whole lot of terrific talent, but, well, you came out of the playoffs. All right. A couple of NFL coaches, Robert Saleh, Nick Sirianni, placed on their team's COVID list. They both tested positive for it. We'll see if the Jets and Eagles head coaches can coach this coming weekend. College football, first Armed Forces Bowl last night, the only bowl game. Good little game, terrific ending. Army comes from behind, takes the lead early fourth quarter. Missouri, with no timeouts, drives down the field, scores the go-ahead touchdown with a little over a minute to go. And then Army, not known for their 2-minute drills. They had about 1 minute and 20 seconds, Mark. They go right down the field throwing the ball. Kick a 41-yard field goal at the gun. Army beats Missouri 24-22. Did you catch this about college football yesterday? First, Texas A&M dropped out of the Gator Bowl between injuries, transfers, and COVID, and they just put like double-digit guys who tested positive for COVID. Their AD said they were down to 38 scholarship players, and half of them were linemen. And he's like, yeah, we can't play. I mean, I'm sorry about this, but we cannot play in this game. We don't have enough bodies, and we certainly don't have enough bodies at what you'd call skill positions. So they need a team to play Wake Forest in the Gator Bowl. And apparently the criteria is this whole APR thing.
Okay.
And
so I don't mind that.
Because there were no other bowl eligible teams at 6-6. Everybody got into a bowl. So they have to go to the 5 and 7 teams. And apparently the team that academically has the best numbers is Rutgers. And so Rutgers is expected to early this morning accept the invitation to play Wake Forest on short notice in the Gator Bowl.
Go Knights.
Miami is on pause. They play a week from tomorrow in the Sun Bowl, or so they're scheduled.
ESPN has just basically told everybody these bowl games are important to us. These Capital One ads are going to air whether you like it or not.
Here's something worth noting. Alabama has 2 assistants, offense coordinator Bill O'Brien, offensive line coach Doug Marrone, have both tested positive with COVID. And it's worth noting because if it spreads on the Alabama team, Cincinnati can win their semifinal by forfeit. That's what the College Football Playoff Committee came out and announced yesterday. Hey, if you can't play because of COVID, that's a forfeit loss. And so then they were asked, well, what if it's the national championship game? And they said, then it's a forfeit loss. How about that? How about that? My question would be, hold on a second.
Who is the College Football Playoff Committee is who decided this?
I believe so. They're the ones that run
Did
the
they
playoff.
get permission from ESPN to make this? No, I'm only half joking when I say that.
I don't think so. Don't
Don't
think
you
so.
think somebody at a very important office at ESPN saw that and picked up the phone and went, no.
Well, here's what I think they did say. They picked up the phone and said, well, we ain't sending you that check, just so you know. That game doesn't get played, it's going to cost you. So I'll say it again, and I'm sure this isn't popular with a few people. If I was the AD at Alabama, Cincinnati, Georgia, and Michigan, I would not test for COVID.
No.
There is way too much riding on it. I wouldn't test it unless you literally it's apparent you're sick. You have to show some symptoms in order for me to test it.
Absolutely.
So college basketball, no upsets in the top 25. Game of the night lived up to its billing. 15th ranked Tennessee, removing 6th ranked Arizona from the ranks of the unbeaten. Vols 77, Wildcats 73, a really good game. Other college basketball scores, Gators got the better of Stony Brook by 25. Bethune-Cookman lost to Marist by 23. UCF beat North Alabama by 11. Stetson over Piedmont 97-53. Canisius beat FGCU in overtime 97-90. And Mark, I made a note here. I went to bed. BYU was hosting South Florida. All right. I forgot to get the final score of that game. I really should do that here. Let's see.
You go on. I got you.
And BYU beat South Florida 54-39.
Nice work.
Smooth, wasn't it? Was
Butter.
that smooth?
Butter.
NBA, hey, they played 5 out of the 6 scheduled games. I'm giving credit. NHL can't play.
Can't play a 1.
Nope. NBA got 5 out of 6 in. Orlando went to Atlanta, beat the Hawks. It's only like their, 6th win of the year or something like that, 104-98. Boston beat Cleveland by 10. OKC by 14 over Denver. Milwaukee beat Houston by 20. Clippers over Sacramento by 16. As you can tell, not a lot of good games here.
No.
Joe Johnson did score for the Celtics. And if you're thinking, is that the Joe? Yes, that's the same Joe Johnson that you remember. He's 83 years old now, but he can catch and shoot from the corner.
ISO Joe.
Look at that.
That's, yeah.
You know, I went NBA. That's what happens. But he scored. He's in his 40s. And I think he's like the, first player in a long time to actually score when he was 20 and score when he was 40 for the same team. And Mark, I thought you'd be interested in this. One little golf note. Phil's going to play in the Tournament of Champions in 2 weeks. He's been eligible to play it a lot. He just hasn't for 20 years. Doesn't feel like going to Hawaii, which is strange because he's lived in either California or Arizona the whole time.
That is strange.
And he's been eligible to play. I guess he doesn't like Kapalua.
Read an article yesterday. Put it this way. He probably won't do well because was reading a golf article. I know people, but you may bet it. Look at past champions. Look at how people play. This is a very quirky golf course. And guys, Patrick Cantley just flat out said, I hated it. Flat out hated it. Nothing about this course I like, but I had to figure out why I didn't like it. And that weird things happen here. The wind is what it is. And you've got to accept the fact that this is a quirky golf course in order to play here.
And it's not like Phil doesn't play well early because he's done really well on the West Coast swing in California and Arizona historically, but he has hated playing at Kapalua, hasn't played it in 20 years. But at 51, hey, you never know if he's going to win again. He's like, it's probably the last time I can play in this little shindig.
Well, and nobody likes a cash grab like Phil Mickelson. It seems shocking that just to pay off NFL bets that he's not showing up for this thing.
And that at 7 minutes before the hour was.
That was the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Boy, the airing of sports grievances, they are rolling in, whether it be in the Twitch chat room or on the text line.
And when we come back, we will get to those sports grievances. It is Festivus for the rest of us, so you can text us. Text FSN Radio, all one word, FSN Radio to 21,000 to air your sports grievances there. You can do it on Twitter, the David Moulton, that Mark Miller, or you can do it at twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton in the Twitch chat room.
Man, we got people complaining about the cost of concessions. That's right up my alley there. I mean, can we get to parking next?
City of Palms, free parking, David.
It's another reason why it's the greatest high school basketball tournament in the country.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and and reliable. And the best part is, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So I think one of the stats with the whole Joe Johnson thing is that it's the longest gap that a player has played with one team. So it was 19 years and 308 days since the last time Joe Johnson suited up for the Celtics.
That's a long time.
It's a very long time. He guarded Michael Jordan in his rookie year. How about that?
That's pretty good. I thought LeBron was a junior in high school.
Yeah, there you go.
Also, I thought I saw it was something like 4 or 6 guys in the league were not yet born.
4 or 6. Oh, probably.
Well, no, I mean 20 years.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
there
that's
are
a good
not
point.
a ton of guys in the league under 20.
Right. You know what? I'm thinking of Vince Carter. Remember Vince Carter? His last couple of games, there were like a couple of people on his team.
Oh, yeah.
His whole. I think Trae Young. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so sad. His last game was the worst night in NBA history.
Yeah, the pandemic.
Yep.
Yeah. Against the Knicks, right?
Against
He
the
hit his
Knicks.
last shot.
Yeah, he hit a 3-pointer at the end, and then it was like, okay, we might never see NBA basketball the same ever again. Goodbye. Bye, Vince Carter. And Mark's right. What was life in 2019 pre-pandemic?
I was working 2 jobs.
Felt like I was a completely different person. Or just like my mindset.
You were a freshman.
I was a sophomore.
Sophomore.
Freshman and sophomore, yeah. Early 2019, I was a freshman. Late sophomore.
Does seem a long time ago, doesn't it? 2 years. My wife was ready for a vacation 2 years ago.
And is she ready for one still?
Oh, she's
My mom.
And her line of work's just gotten busier. She, she and my wife have had maybe the 2 biggest, like seriously, to opposite lands of the world.
Yeah.
But everybody went and bought a fucking dog during this thing. Everybody.
Yeah. Frontline healthcare workers, mental health people.
I mean, it was probably the best time ever to buy a dog.
Not for veterinarians.
No.
There are 13 jobs available for every vet that's graduating college right now.
Whoa.
13 openings for every veterinarian that's out there.
Have you ever heard of El Camino?
You mean the car?
No, that's what?
What, the car or the television show? What do you?
No. Okay. There is a very famous religious pilgrimage. It's like a hike from France to Spain.
Gotcha.
At the top of like a hill or like a mountain in a city in Spain that takes you right to the church, the basilica that has the grave of St. James, one of the original apostles. And it's like a month-long thing
Really?
that people do. It's called El Camino. There's something. And my mom was planning it for like 4 or 5 years.
Oh, really?
And she was going to do it in 2020. And then
Have to hook up your mom and my wife. They can go do that together.
there you go.
Go be very Catholic. The catechism teacher.
Principal at a Catholic high school.
Is she a principal at a Catholic high school?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that. The school you went to, obviously?
Yeah. She wasn't before, but then unfortunately our old principal got cancer. And she was the most suited for the job.
Thank you, Warehouse Benny.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday, the 23rd of December. Festivus, the airing of grievances. Want to hear from you, your sports grievances. And man, some of you go back
Holy
a long
Toledo.
time. Complaining about the Dolphins defensive coordinator from the 80s, Chris Webber's timeout.
Yeah, that was the one. HP, Chris Webber calling timeout with 11 seconds left. What year was that?
93.
Wow.
Championship game, New Orleans. Dean Smith's last title. Both of Dean Smith's titles had controversial endings. You know, they beat Georgetown. Freddie Brown threw it to the wrong guy.
Right.
Threw it to Worthy. And then obviously the end of the Michigan-Carolina game with the timeout. That wasn't. It's strange how it worked out that way. And he played for like 7, or coached for like 7 national championships too.
David, Charles's grievances with the two of us.
Way now.
Well, I think we have to at least give him a little leeway here, because when you phrase it the way that he does, I understand where he's coming from. I think we're okay, though. Charles says, the last time my favorite morning talk show took Fridays off, they soon after lost their second gig, and now they're taking Fridays off again. I will say it is Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
Right.
That's all.
So it can be explained, right? Listen, I don't
come January 3rd, all bets are off.
You know, it's funny. I have never known a radio show that its hardcore audience, when it takes one day off, immediately thinks they've been fired.
Well, that's the charm of Miller and Moulton, David.
I mean, it has only happened twice.
In like 16 years.
Right. But it seems, our future seems more day to day than most talk shows. I don't know if that's part of our charm or whatever the case may be. I think it also has something to do with the stations we've been on, who have seemed to have been more tenuous also. So it's funny. I mean, we can do 3, 4, 6 straight months of shows.
We didn't, for the record, through the entire early pandemic stages, months upon months of no sports, not a day.
Not one that we took off. Not one. Not one. First day we take off, people, oh, you guys coming back? They let you go? We've done 5 months straight.
David, but the sports grievances, that's just recent for this guy, taking Fridays off. That's actually not that long ago.
Right.
My sports grievance, the second Bengals 49ers Super Bowl. The play before the game-winning touchdown, Lewis Billups drops a game-winning interception.
Yep.
Hit him in the numbers.
Yep. Joe Montana never threw an interception in his 4 Super Bowls. But the play before, his most famous pass in his 4 Super Bowls, was right there to be picked off. It was a slant to Jerry Rice, and Breeden jumped it and was right there. And so Montana, after he dropped it, went, whew, and ran the same play the other side to John Taylor. Touchdown.
But that's a long time ago.
Yep.
Now, Bengals have not had much success since then.
Well, I was going to say, I think they've won 1 playoff game since then.
And another Philly sports fan taking on the earlier person who said the Philadelphia Eagles, actually Philadelphia as a whole, says gritty is the best thing in Philly sports in the last 4 years.
Which is
Pathetic.
amazing. Because Philly was new Coke. It bombed.
Gritty was New Coke.
That's what I meant. Did I say Philly?
Yes.
My bad. Gritty was New Coke.
Well, it's hard. You're looking at Philly, and right now he is kind of New Coke to us.
Well, and not only that, it seems like every fourth grievance in the Twitch chat room is people just piling on Philly. I mean, hey, come on. We're allowed to pile on them. I mean, take it easy now.
Yeah, I mean, Philly, the best thing that's happening to you right now is our audience coming at you.
Right.
Because it's one of those things. It's like the Animal House line when Niedermeyer's beating up on the fat guy there in the army outfit. And he says, they can't talk to our pledges like that. Only we can talk to our pledges like that. And that's what this is. When they pile on, we start getting our shoulders turned back. And whoa.
Hey.
That's our job to make fun of him,
Right.
not yours.
We get to make fun of him, not you.
I love the haters.
Well, you've got plenty of them.
Yeah, well,
And I don't believe you. You're way too young to think that way.
He says that now.
Right.
Says that now. Wait until they start showing up in the parking lot waiting for you. Then call me. I had the back window of my car smashed out in Fargo. Fargo, of all places.
No.
I criticized Denny Green and the Vikings. That apparently was unacceptable to some guy. And not only that, it was winter.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I know.
That's rough.
I'll tell you what, though. You want to get someone's attention, break their window in Fargo in winter.
Right.
Never say anything about Denny Green again like that, will you?
Well, not until I get the window replaced, at least. FSN radio to 21,000. That's how you can text us your sports grievance or grievances. And, we'll take them either way. You want to do the one big email with all 37 grievances, that's fine. Or if every 8 minutes you want to go, hey, and another thing. Okay, we can go that route too.
I would say my current sports grievance is with the College Football Committee and Bill Hancock, who decided that if we have COVID problems, forfeit is the way we're going to decide a national championship in college football.
Here's what I don't understand. What do you got scheduled after January 10th that you have to move on so quickly for?
March Madness.
I was going to say, and actually, the College Football Playoff Committee doesn't have anything to do with that. I mean, really,
right?
Why can't we come back on the 17th, the 20th? I mean, we had an earthquake in the middle of the World Series. They took like 9 days off. Understandably so, but you know my point. I mean,
that is actually the best point. And I'm not even being smart, David. That World Series, the Bay Series, is actually the most appropriate thing to look at for this. Because that's the only time we've had a really big sporting event, and it was a natural disaster, but they got through it. We played the games.
Faye Vincent was commissioner, and he was asked, and he had only been on the job a few months, and Faye was asked, hey, are we going to cancel this thing? And he said, oh, no, we'll resume it. I can't tell you when, but we'll resume it. And he just felt it was important. If I was running college football, and I guess the College Football Playoff Committee is the closest thing we have to running college football, I mean, I'm sorry. You got to have a champion. And not only that, you've had a really good season with a lot of great storylines. You brought a lot of people back who were kind of losing some of their luster for this sport. You've got a group of 5 team in. You had a team that started the year unranked that's in the playoff, and their name happens to be Michigan,
who I believe still has won more college football games than any other school who's ever played the sport.
I mean, come on. You got 3 games left to play. You can't figure this out?
I'm appalled at this. The more I look at it, the angrier I get, David, because I made the comment earlier that there have been, I went to the City of Palms, a high school tournament here in Southwest Florida the other day. There was a guy following Oak Hill Academy, one of the big high school teams from Virginia. You know what he had on his head? He had a Michigan hat on, David. You know why? Because they're so damn proud right now. Could you imagine if somehow Michigan got a COVID problem and couldn't play Georgia? How depressed that fan base would be after all the Cincinnati fan base? I mean, come on. Like you said, where are they going? What do they have to do?
Right. We got 3 games left, guys. We got a whole month, right? January? Figure it out. Trust me, the fans will be there. And you know what? If they can't be there,
if they can't be there, locals will be there.
Yeah.
The Orange Bowl ticket was the hardest ticket to get in Florida this year.
Right. Don't worry. You'll fill it up.
Harder to get an Orange Bowl ticket than it was to get a Bucks-Cowboys ticket for the first game of the season. And that's not a joke.
I believe it.
The prices are far higher.
So your sports grievance in honor of Festivus, the airing of grievances. Man, I'll tell you, Aaron Rodgers is this guy's grievance. All right. And your vaccination status, wait, quote, just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it. That's quoting George Costanza. When you're quoting noted 20th century philosopher George Costanza, you're trying to make a point.
He really is a 20th century, a high-end 20th century philosopher, if you really think about it.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'm only doing it when I really feel I need it. This morning, I had trouble getting to sleep last night.
Is it does caffeine work for you that way still? I mean, does that give you a pop?
Usually not.
I was going to say, because you're
I
like
sleep
me.
through anything.
No, that's, I mean, like.
But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's last show before the break, or I don't know.
Boy, you and I
couldn't sleep last night.
Well, I got up this morning, and I went to bed early. I got up without the alarm, and I walked the dog this morning. I just took the dog out, and I literally said to the dog, I go, boy, I could make Moulton do this effer alone this morning. I don't know, but you had the same thing. We both had the same thing for whatever reason.
This was one of those about, boy, you sure we can't cancel this show? Look at JB Vike, Gary Anderson, 1998.
That one gets Moulton.
Yeah, I was there.
But that one bothers you of all the Vikings.
Well,
because it was such a good team.
Yeah, that was their best team. That was their best team in the last 40 years. They would have gotten their ass kicked in the Super Bowl, though, because they got 4 starters hurt in that game. And Denver
2 weeks, though?
Yeah, no, they had guys who John Randall wouldn't have played.
Gotcha.
I mean, they lost guys who were probably not going to be able to play 2 weeks later.
I can't believe, and I'm with you, Jeff, I just can't believe for the life of me that this committee could put this out. I just don't get it.
Listen, I talk about grievances. I think it's total BS, the conferences that are saddling teams with losses because they're unable to play because of COVID. I think it's now the ACC, I guess, just changed their policy yesterday, which favored Miami because Miami's women's team had just suffered 1 or 2 losses by forfeit, and they're now changing it to no contests.
My guy there that I've become friendly with from the knee brace thing, the Barstool kid, he's been just putting nonstop Festivus posts on Facebook or on Twitter this morning. And I just told him, I said, he said, he put this out there. That's what I just told him. I said, I said, we can come on and do the O's if you want. He's like, I need a week. He's great because he's just a little older. I think he's maybe 30. He will go on tirades about the Baltimore Orioles on Twitter. And I don't even know who he's talking about. I just laugh at how angry he gets. And I can see that. That's a tough team to root for.
I'd say one of my only grievances is Pat Riley letting D Wade go to Chicago. That was like one of the worst days in Miami sports fan history. And them building Marlins Park on the side of the Orange Bowl instead of Bayfront Park.
Oh.
Well, I will say David Sampson contends it was the only place that it could have been built because of the financing.
Yeah.
It was the only that the politicians, a lot of them were not willing to chip in money, but they were willing to chip in money if it was done there.
Right. It was the most practical. But still, the potential.
What were you saying, Mark?
I just interesting to hand here. I'm just typing something down.
Okay.
Sorry. So that Lisa Spooner from NBC,
Right, mornings.
she after Rutgers expect to the bid after A&M withdraws, she goes, maybe Ticketmaster might actually do the right thing for Aggies who bought tickets for the Tax Slayer Bowl, but somehow I seriously doubt it. She's an A&M grad.
Right.
She bought tickets. Probably not getting a refund.
No, but she can go on secondary media and probably sell them.
Not for what she bought for.
No, probably not.
I mean, that's interesting. I didn't think about that though. You're a Canes fan or you're an Aggie fan. You plan on going to these games and they're not playing. What about you?
Go Raiders. We were with you on that when they scheduled the Raiders' last game that regular season, and it was a home game against Jacksonville.
10 seconds.
When that schedule came out, we were with you. We were like, what the heck?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
18 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton on this Thursday before Christmas. December 23rd is Festivus, the airing of grievances. So we are going to play along on this Thursday. Your airing of your sports grievances. Sports grievances. We don't have the time nor the interest.
Particularly the interest.
To go down the other list.
You don't.
Besides, we figure that your list of grievances or the others would be all short-term. It's much more entertaining to us to see how far back some of you are still going with your grievances. Although Hinstar in our Twitch chat room, Mark, says sports grievances. Yeah, the U.S. going to the Winter Olympics. It's crazy that we're going. That's
kind of combining the two.
Well, yeah, but come on, the Olympics is sports.
No, it is.
More sports than politics, so that counts.
Jed with a fine gif. I've got a lot of problems with you people, and you're going to hear about them. Simply just with that gif, just had 3 numbers, David, and a dash. His grievance just simply says 28-3.
An Atlanta Falcons fan, are we?
Sorry.
I was asked a question. I was doing a guest spot on a buddy's radio show the other day, and the hypothetical poll question was, if you're a Georgia sports fan, which one bothers you more? 28-3 or that you haven't won a natty since 1980?
B. Because, first off, Atlanta Falcon fans, I think, are mostly in Atlanta. Georgia is the entire state. It's everything there. I don't even know how much of the same fan base they are. But that natty haunts them. Losing the way they did in the SEC championship already has them panicked that they have no shot to win a national title now.
So basically the poll question is, what one bothers you more, 28-3 or 2nd and 26? Tua to Devontae. This one goes back a few years. sports grievance, simply JB Vike typing Gary Anderson, 1998. That was the 15-1 Vikings team. He literally had not missed a kick all year. Not an extra point, not a field goal. 39-yarder, left hash. And he pulled it by about 2 feet.
It is so ironic, David, that we got these two texts literally back to back. And if you want to text the show, the keyword is FSN Radio. You text that keyword, FSN Radio, all one word, to 21,000. FSN Radio to 21,000, and then you can text us whenever you would like. This person just typed one word, Bartman. The texter who texted 1 minute before that said, Alex Gonzalez. Bartman gets all the heat. Alex booted an easy ground ball that people forget. So the irony of two people having the same exact grievance about the same thing, but blaming two entirely different people for it. And I know you're on the side of the gentleman that talks about the booted ground ball because that's his job.
Gold glove shortstop. It was a routine 2 hopper. It was a 6-4-3 double play. They're out of the inning. It's 3-0 going to the bottom of the 8th. I'm sorry. It's like the whole everybody, the Pirates Braves there and at the end and the Sid Bream safe. Yeah, Jose Lean, Gold Glove second baseman. Doug Drabeck takes a shutout into the 9th. Routine 3 hopper right to him, goes through his legs. I mean, the Indians, now Guardians. All right, same deal. Tony Fernandez, who was a Gold Glove shortstop playing second base. The winning rally for the Marlins in extra innings. Yeah, let's a 3 hopper go right through him.
Go Marlins.
I mean, they're everywhere. Everywhere.
I appreciate this grievance because I agree with this one, and I know you do too, David. Simply just says the Dolphins not signing Breeze. If there are unbelievable changing moments in a franchise, not just a franchise, but if they sign, this is the old tale of how different is the world
Staggeringly.
if Nick Saban signs Drew Brees.
Staggeringly different.
I mean, think of everything that happens after that wouldn't.
Because the thought is if they sign Breeze that Nick's not leaving a year later, even if things don't go well. Like he went 9-7 his first year. They won their last 6, I think it was. And expectations were high coming into the next year. But it turns out they didn't have a quarterback. I think they were playing an injured Dante Culpepper and an ineffective Gus Frerotte. And they go 6-10. And Nick bails. Well, if they have Drew Brees, who, by the way, was not yet a superstar quarterback, in fact, I don't think Drew Brees, when he was eligible for free agency, was regarded as only a little bit better than Derek Carr is now. Drew Brees was not a great quarterback when he became a free agent. He was a good/very good quarterback. Remember, how good was he? The Chargers drafted Rivers to force him out.
Right.
Before he hurt his shoulder. He was only considered to be a good quarterback. You could only go
short. I mean, that's
right. Didn't have a strong enough arm.
Right.
You could only go so far with Drew Brees as your quarterback. It wasn't until New Orleans, Sean Payton, and then it's like, oh, wow, maybe this guy's special.
I just, of all of, and I'm so happy someone sent that in because it is just one of those moments of all of the things that would have been so vastly different. Because as David said, even if it doesn't go well, Alabama is going to hire someone else.
And the funny thing is that they offered the job to Rich Rodriguez, and he took it, and then he changed his mind. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The fate that it took for Nick Saban to end up at Alabama. The Alabama fans should honestly, every year should just get down on bended knee. Like, boy, did the sports gods line up for us or what?
This is another solid grievance, David.
Okay.
My grievance is Mo Lewis hitting Drew Bledsoe going out of bounds, starting the whole Tom Brady era. That's pain.
Well, the thing
must be a Dolphin or a Bills fan.
Well, I was going to say, or a Steelers, or you pick 15 teams that guy could root for. Go Raiders with another one. Gretzky traded to L.A. is a grievance for whatever reason.
Wow.
Don't know why.
Rough 40 years for you, sir.
Yeah, we have had a couple of recent NASCAR grievances. All right. The first of which is that NASCAR does not get talked about enough. Meanwhile, we've also had a grievance of a gentleman who said his grievance is that the NBA is talked about way too much.
I can't help you with talking more NASCAR. I'm as big of a NASCAR fan right now as I've ever been in my life.
That's true.
That's not no BS. But I think I'd rather talk NBA on a sports radio show. Unless it's the 500, unless there's some controversy, unless someone's fighting someone post-race.
Right. Unless Tony Stewart killed a guy.
Well, maybe that's my grievance with the sport, is that Tony Stewart killed a guy and no one seemed to care.
No, apparently we were the only two.
Yeah.
Right.
Best driver in the world tried to dust somebody, hit him, killed him, and no one seems to care.
Right.
That's all.
Really?
I'll tell you what, that's my sports grievance. That one's not going away, David.
Really? It was an accident, huh? It was an accident?
And I get it. The guy shouldn't have been on the track. Guys are on the track all the time. And Tony Stewart, the legendary driver, had in his mind, a punk kid pointing his finger at him, so he was going to dust him and show him something. And he lost control of the car and killed him. But someone's got to tell me that I'm wrong. And I've had enough people tell me I'm right. I've had a bunch tell me I'm wrong. But I've had enough people go, yeah.
The two people who have been given the biggest passes, all right, for killing someone with an automobile are Tony Stewart and Matthew Broderick.
Knew that was coming.
But now we move on.
David has a Ferris Bueller problem.
Just a Matthew Broderick problem. That's all.
I know.
Guy got away with murder. We digress. Oh, look at the
Isn't
time.
it time for a break? Holy cow. Remember, you can text the show by texting FSN Radio to 21,000. FSN Radio to 21,000. You can tweet at us, the David Moulton, that Mark Miller, or you can come and join us, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. We're on all of them right now. See our Festivus poll in the background.
Guy's grievances is Florida State kickers. 2 wide rights and a wide left. I actually think it's 3 wide rights and a wide left. Thought it was 3. I thought the 2 were early, and then the 2000 game was the 3rd wide right. Now, that only would have tied it, but I believe there's 3 wide rights and a wide left. Miller and Moulton. Dave Wannstadt coming up at the top of the hour here on the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
That guy's little night of college basketball. 1-6-1 night.
See, I love that, though, that people put that up there. Like, to me, you've got to do that because
And yet, for the season, he's 143, 105.
Nothing puts you in the Christmas spirit like talking about vehicular homicide. I absolutely love you guys and couldn't be happier you're back. Happy holidays to you and yours.
It really is part of our charm. Hops. Does the Beasley's ending Act 1 count as a sports grievance? Yes. Yes. The problem is if we start airing those grievances, hello. Oh, Johnny Yo, definitely the Expos' best shot. They were the best team in baseball. And the Yankees, by the way, were the best team in the American League that year. And the Yankees hadn't made the playoffs since 81. Now we overlook that because they've had 28, 29 consecutive winning seasons. But Yankees had not made the playoffs since 1981 and had the best record in the American League at the strike in 94. With Buck Showalter as their manager. You ever kill a guy? No. That was our best drop-in. I got to admit, of all our drop-in, Tommy Morrison and the altitude, Bobby Bowden, you make a dadgum good point.
Did you ever kill a guy?
And me asking that caller, did you ever kill a guy? And him pausing and going, no.
Sir. After Dante Stallworth killed the guy in Miami. Do you remember that?
So we did.
Passenger. Do you know what I'm talking about? Dante Stallworth, was he playing for the Dolphins or no?
No, I thought he was a Ravens receiver.
Yeah, he was a Ravens receiver, but he's from Miami. And whatever, when you're going towards Miami Beach or whatever that causeway is, like 195 or whatever.
Yeah.
So he killed a pedestrian on that. Now, the pedestrian happened to be drunk and shouldn't have been out there, but Dante, I think, it also had been drinking and did 28 days for vehicular homicide.
Wrote him a check for $8 million. The family basically said to the judge, we'd rather get paid off than him do X number of years behind bars. That does us no good. So he writes him a check for $8 million. He gets 4 weeks in prison. And so I come on the show and I said, David, I guarantee you, I said, I'll bet everything I have that we have listeners who have done more time in jail than Dante Stallworth. And we're doing afternoons. We're taking calls regularly at this point. Well, sure as hell, a guy calls in who did 30 days in jail. And so he says, I did more than 28 days in jail. And before he could say what for, I said, you ever kill a guy? Because I was pretty wound up. And he goes, no, sir.
And we just lost it. So that was our clip. Every once in a while, the person sitting in your seat would just drop in. Ever kill a guy? No, sir.
No, sir. And then I apologized. I said, listen, I know my name's on the show at all, but that's out of line. That is out of line. I vaulted over the line there.
Wow.
I don't apologize for much on this show,
funny.
But that was out of line.
I hope a future sports grievance isn't that we chose to draft Tua instead of Justin Herbert, which you probably will, but
I don't know.
Justin Herbert is good.
He is, but
tremendous.
no one was saying this before the draft.
Very.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
It is December 23rd. What has now become Festivus, the airing of grievances. And in honor of that, our final show of the week, final show before the holiday, that we are asking you, if you are so inclined, to air your sports grievances with us. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Dave Wannstedt to join us coming up at the top of the hour. We will talk a little association for those of you that are into the NBA in our bonus hour. That'll be our parting gift to young Felipe. But the airing of grievances, some of which go way back. Way back. Mark, how about this one? Wide right for the Bills. Here we are 30 years later.
Right.
31 years later. And still no title. That was their first Super Bowl appearance, too.
Ramsey apparently hates this show in the Twitch chat room. Local sports shows, we're a little more than local now, we're regional, that have, I don't think we're redneck, but punk guests that talk about crap and non-sports trivia. Well, we do that every day for 3 to 4 hours. So thanks for listening, Ramsey, but must not be for much longer, I guess, because that's kind of what we do here. That's kind of what we're doing right now. I mean, pretty much describe the last hour and 37 minutes of this show.
I mean, we could talk about COVID, but, you know,
right. Or tonight's
NHL slate. Thursday night football, Niners a 3-point favorite in Nashville against
there you
the
go.
Titans.
Let's break that down.
It's a key game. You pointed out that the Niners actually have a path to win the NFC West, which is not unreasonable based on who it is. Both the Rams and the Cardinals have to play down the stretch. But if nothing else, San Francisco would all but secure a playoff spot with a win in Tennessee, and the Titans with a win would all but secure the AFC South title.
Let me ask you just a question standings-wise. Who's not in the playoffs right now that you think will be in the NFL? Because you made the statement earlier in the week, David, along the lines of the 7 teams that are in the AFC are the teams you think are going to be in the AFC.
I really do. Now, that means that Cincinnati beats Baltimore Sunday. Because in order for my prediction to be right, if the Bengals beat the Ravens Sunday, it's going to be really difficult for them to not end up AFC North champs. Now, a very hopeful Browns fan can point out, if we win out, we'll win the North so long as the Bengals beat the Ravens. Because in theory, then the Bengals and Browns would finish tied at 10-7, and the Browns would have swept them, and therefore they will be division champs. But if you look at Cleveland's schedule, I think there's a far better chance of them going 1-2 the rest of the way than 3-0.
Well, better chance of 0-3 than 3-0. I mean, that's and I'm not picking on Cleveland. I think there's a lot better chance for most every team not named the Kansas City Chiefs to go 0-3 than it is 3-0, because that's what the league's been this year. So I know what you're going to say in the NFC. I shouldn't even have allowed this. You're going to say the Minnesota Vikings, but they're in right now, aren't they?
They are in. And realistically, I mean, if you've listened to the show for any length of time, Mark is all in on the Colts, even when they were 1-4. And I've been all in on the Vikings, even when they were 1-3 and 2-4, I think. And it looks like Mark's going to end up being right, and it looks as if I'm more likely than not going to die on that hill, but that's okay. Okay, it wouldn't be the first hill.
The Eagles probably have the best chance to replace the Vikings based on who they play.
Well, and let me tell you, the Saints' schedule's not hard either.
No.
Now, they do have Taysom Hill at quarterback, which does seem quite the obstacle. But, look at the Saints' schedule the rest of the way.
Right. Dolphins, Panthers, Falcons.
The
Eagles, on the other hand, have Giants, Washington, Dallas. But the thought is, by the time they play Dallas, there may be nothing for Dallas to play for.
Maybe, particularly if they win the week before at home against Arizona, just maybe they're locked into a certain seeding. But if I believe 13 of the 14 teams that are in the playoffs now will make the playoffs. I think the only playoff position that will change is the 7 seed in the NFC. And it will end up being the Eagles or the Saints, not the Vikings, if I had to put money on it. I mean, even though the Steelers are only a half a game out, they have a really difficult remaining schedule. I don't have a lot of confidence in all the 7-7 teams in the AFC. Realistically, you have to figure out which one of those can run the table and get to 10.
Well, I mean, I just look at the Ravens right now. Like you said, unless they win this week against the Bengals, and they very well could, but unless they win, you look at what the Chargers have. I don't see the Chargers doing worse than 2-1. Pretty easy schedule the rest of the way.
Yeah, if COVID doesn't get in the way.
Right.
I mean, they got a ton of guys on the list now.
I'm not even saying 3-0, but I think the Chargers and Bills can easily go 2-1.
Well, certainly the Bills. I mean, even with a loss this week to New England, if it happens, I mean, they're home, I believe, for their final 2 games against bad teams.
Right, and the Chargers have the Texans this week that should be a win, and then they have the Broncos and the Raiders, and I think they can get one of those too. I'm not asking them to win 3 games. Same thing when you look at the Colts. They've got the Raiders and the Jags and the Cardinals. That's their tough game. By the way, Kyler Murray got the Pro Bowl nod over Stafford. You okay with that?
Yeah. Yeah, and I know he missed time, but yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I think when Kyler Murray has played, he's been better. He's been more consistent than Stafford. I mean, if Stafford's going to play like he did on the Monday Nighter against Arizona, no, but that's Matthew Stafford at his best.
Right. No, just curious, because that's the one Pro Bowl quarterback thing that people have talked about. You're not taking Brady or Rodgers out. There's just been people questioning, is it Stafford or is it Murray? That's all.
And Rodgers named the starter. I mean, listen, I'll list a grievance. Them naming Pro Bowlers with 3 weeks left in the regular season. It's ridiculous. Theory, these are the most important games, 1, and 2, it's nearly 20% of your season. I mean, come on. It'd be like naming, I'm sorry, Mark, in baseball, we're going to name Cy Young, MVP, all that at the end of August. I mean, people go, what the are you doing?
Well, now that's a little different because it's an all-star game. The Pro Bowl is just an all-star game. It's not an all-pro team. All-pro's far more important.
Agreed.
This is just an all-star game. They give the all-star lineup quite a few days before the all-star game. I think it's a little bit of fake outrage. I mean, it's a Pro Bowl. Does anybody watch the Pro Bowl? Does anybody care about the Pro Bowl?
Well, actually,
yeah, I know.
They do watch.
I apologize.
Yeah.
That was an inaccurate statement. They really do. Well,
Yes,
I don't get
do.
it.
About 8 to 10 million people watch that damn Pro Bowl.
No, you're right.
An exhibition, but it's got helmet and shoulder pads, Mark, and that's really all that's required.
You got that right.
Might as well be part of Capital One Bowl Week.
But we are airing sports grievances today. And I do think this is an interesting grievance. And I don't know necessarily if he's right. Miami says, as a longtime Miami resident, my only grievance is with Stephen Ross to stop sabotaging the Dolphins like Jerry Jones does with the Cowboys. I don't think he's been nearly as meddling as a Jerry Jones.
Well, not nearly. I mean, Jerry's the general manager.
Right. I mean,
also.
Stephen's not. He's letting these guys do their thing.
Well, he does, and then like 2.5 years in, he apparently comes running into the room and he goes, "Yeah, I'm tired of your plan. It's not working. I need you to change this now."
Good news, if Michigan beats Georgia, they got all of next year to be left alone.
That's true. And not only that, they'll do it in his stadium. I mean, if you're a Dolph fan, you couldn't ask for anything more. That'll placate the guy. He'll probably leave Greer and Flores alone in the 2022 offseason as long as his Wolverines can win in the Orange Bowl.
Right. All right.
Or his stadium. You know what I mean? Hard Rock.
If Michigan beats Georgia and Miami loses out, everybody in the Dolphins organization safe?
No. Our first NFL officiating grievance. I thought this would be an hour and a half ago, to be honest. Can't believe it took until about 7:45 for our first in the Twitch chat room grievance about NFL officiating. I am surprised.
I like this guy who just has a grievance for his father. He says, this one's for my father. He says, Ditka not getting Walter Payton a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Well, it's Ditka's biggest grievance with himself. He has said it's his biggest regret.
Got caught up in the moment.
In football. Biggest regret. I will say they gave it to Peyton a few times there inside the 10 on a couple of drives, and it just wasn't happening for Walter and them run. It was the only thing that the Patriots did effectively in that game. I mean, Peyton had, I think, like 64 yards with well over 20 carries. They bottled him up. They didn't do anything else, but they bottled him up. So your sports grievances on this December 23rd, it is Festivus. And I know it's a bit of a fake thing, but come on, we're having fun with it.
Not anymore. I mean, Seinfeld's been off the air for how long?
Over 20 years.
Right. And we're still talking about.
Well, original Seinfelds have been off the air. It's not like you have trouble seeing.
No, I know. But
when I was still into like awards, I will say when I was preparing the starting five late last night, and I'm like, Levante David. Okay. Devin White. I mean, Devin White, especially. I'm like, Devin White didn't make a Pro Bowl. And I'm thinking to myself, there's 3 inside linebackers better than Devin White in a conference? I don't think so. But, I mean, nobody cares about these things, except the players if they have bonuses attached to their contracts.
by the way, the Festivus episode aired in 1997. It's a real thing. When you've lasted nearly a quarter of a century, it's a real thing. You know, someone pointed that out in the Twitch chat room, said, is this even a made-up holiday anymore? Has this been going on long enough? And there are enough anti-Christmas people out there when they start beating us over the head with Christmas music in October that I think, and December 23rd is perfect. Because like most of you, unlike me, you've been shopping, you've had to deal with all this stuff. I mean, I just started Christmas like yesterday.
Good luck today. Apparently today's a big day for you.
I pretty much got everything done yesterday. Today is going to be more of a shopping for the holiday cooking.
Do we know what we're going with?
Oh, big, David. Got the 7 fishes meal tomorrow for Christmas Eve.
7 fishes?
7 fishes.
Oh.
It's kind of a Catholic Christmas
I
thing.
was going to say, is that like a Super 7 for us?
I was trying to mix it in with my picks in the 9 o'clock hour, but there are not enough fish teams playing in games.
We're doing picks in the 9 o'clock hour?
We could. Now, if you don't want to, we don't have to. But prime rib for the Christmas Day meal.
Ooh.
And then a lot of things to prepare for tomorrow.
Hey, how about that as a poll question? All right. The Christmas Day meal. Like in my family, it was always ham. Grandma made ham.
So ham, turkey.
No, ham.
No, I know. But your choices would be ham, Christmas turkey is a thing.
Right. I
Christmas
got it.
ham, Christmas turkey.
And then the whole beef there.
The beef.
Yeah. Whether it's prime rib, tenderloin, whatever.
I like it.
All right. Just what's your preference? Christmas meal. I guess we have to throw seafood on there for Florida, right? No?
Not really.
No? Okay.
Not really.
All right. We'll let that kind of
Put
marinate.
the big 3 up there.
We'll let that marinate, see if anybody else has something that they can recommend that is worthy of being on the poll question. But it looks like that will be our non-sports poll question that can stay up right through the holiday.
Right. My non-sports grievance is that my car is still not here. For those that have been paying attention, I am still without an automobile.
That is unbelievable.
That was supposed to arrive at some point last week.
How about this as a poll question? All right. What happens first? Philly buys us breakfast or your car gets delivered?
Oh, car for sure, because he's gone until next year after today.
There's no guarantee of that, Mark. I don't know what to tell you. I know people who were told it'd be 2 weeks for an iPad and it's been 8. So have you seen all the stuff that's backed up off the coasts?
But I know where it is.
Okay.
My car can listen to this show right now. Last I checked, it was in Tampa. The car could be tuning in the show right now.
Mark, listen, there's a lot of stuff in containers off of both coasts that can listen to this show if they have an app. So, just saying. But today, December 23rd, Festivus, the airing of grievances. Got a text from a friend of the show that said his grievance is momentum.
Merry Christmas. Maybe we'll talk to you right before the national championship game.
Merry Christmas, Gary Danielson. Merry Christmas.
I wasn't going to say the name.
Although, I'll tell you what. I don't know if people saw it yesterday on ESPN.com, but they did a big thing debunking momentum.
Really?
On ESPN.com, in which they also found an article from 1985 making fun of all the announcers quoting momentum.
It's fantastic because we're going to get, 2 games on Christmas or just one? Do you have the only game?
No, there's 2.
Is
No,
CBS getting the other one or is it
no,
NFL
the
Network?
NFL Network.
All right, well, that's even better. So on Sunday, we can all play the game. David, you can play along. How many times will Tony Romo say the word momentum in the broadcast? Over, under 9.5?
Oh, over. Over. No, I'm not joking. If it's a drinking game, I don't know if we'll survive. I do not know if we will survive. So Christmas Day, by the way, 2 significant games. Don't know what's left of Cleveland to give Green Bay a game. That's the early one on Fox. But then it's Colts-Cardinals. Kind of an important game for both.
Well, I mean, but the Cleveland game's important for Cleveland.
Well, yeah, I mean, they got to run the table. I think we all just don't know whether or not Cleveland's got enough horses to win this game. I mean, Cleveland's going to have an effort the likes of which the Saints had against the Bucks. And they really are. They're just going to have to leave their soul out there and just play the game of the year.
Yes, they are. And I don't give them that chance. But, I mean, when they lose that game, you could argue their season is over.
Yes, absolutely, because they're tiebreakers.
Right.
Outside of being able to tie Cincinnati at 10-7, okay, that is like the only tiebreaker they win, and that requires them to win out. And take a look at their schedule, beginning with at Lambeau on Saturday. Hello.
And they will get the Bengals again, and they get at Pittsburgh. Now, they lost both of those games the first time. No, they beat the Bengals the first time. They lost to the Steelers the first time.
And it's Ben's last game in Pittsburgh. Keep that in mind.
Right, and when they're 7-8-1 for that game.
They'll be right 7-7-1, but I know what you're saying. Because they'll lose to Kansas City this week.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the week
7-7-1.
That's the one they get.
But the last home game for Ben, but of course he will not have announced it. So is this his last game? When everybody is like, yeah. So Dave Wannstadt, longtime NFL head coach, college head coach. I want to ask him about the difference between Saturdays and Sundays as a guy who did both and did both as an assistant as well.
I want to ask him what he'd be doing as a coach right now, trying to prepare in COVID. How you do this?
It's a good question. We'll go down memory lane and then also get his thoughts on the present with Dave Wannstedt of Fox Sports coming up. Miller and Moulton on this December 23rd. We are taking your sports grievances in honor of Festivus here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Arch only on the way to the golf course. Danielson gives us a good 4 minutes every day.
No, you know, he actually listens while he's hitting balls on the range too.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Does he put headsets on?
Yeah.
There's whatever, Bluetooth things.
Called me the other day. Every 40 seconds I heard whack.
Oh, butt dial?
Whack. Yeah, it's just hitting balls. Nice sled puppy. Duck on eve, prime rib on day.
Ooh,
That's solid.
I think Sled was the one that sent me how to cook duck. I've never done duck. That is going to be something that's going to happen here soon. This is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, that's not bad.
God, the red jerseys look like hockey sweaters, didn't they?
Yep.
Nice. Oh,
that's kind of nice.
I thought it was the pass at first because it was a pretty sexy pass.
That's kind of nice. I will say it's a magnificent, immense basketball arena. You ever been to Rupp?
No.
Ooh, it's huge, and it doesn't look it because it's another one in which it's you're driving down the drag, and all of a sudden there's a sign that says Rupp Arena, and you turn the corner, and you're like,
it only goes up.
Well, yeah, and meanwhile, so much of it's under
right.
You know, because it's like built into that little hill there.
Man, same soccer goal, and they're both ridiculous.
Yep. But it's immense, Rupp Arena. Did you see the shot on Twitter, the third grade teacher?
No.
She's on the playground, and she says to the kids, if I make this shot, everyone gets hot chocolate. And it's like a 3/4 court shot. Now, it's a small court, but it's outdoors. And sure enough, and I mean high arcing too, Mark, boom. And the kids jump up and down like they've won the Super Bowl. Just going crazy because they're getting hot chocolate.
Anything for free, David.
Well, I mean, and little did they know, she was probably going to give them hot chocolate anyway. But she says, if I make this, everybody gets hot chocolate. And I mean, they are running around, tackling each other.
It's awesome.
So happy.
Dave's on hold.
Awesome.
I'm just gonna stand for the rest of the show.
You gonna stand?
Why, so you don't fall asleep?
My battery's low. My mental capacity.
What does that have to do with you standing or sitting?
I need to focus.
When you mean your battery, you mean you
Yes.
personally.
My life.
Right.
Yes.
You could throw water in your face, you know?
I just did that.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
For those of you in the 239, we are halfway home. For those of you in Tampa, St. Pete, it is the final hour of Miller and Moulton, not just for today, but for the week on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Ben Wittenstein, who covers the NBA, will join us 1 hour from now. It is a pleasure to welcome, and it has been a while, Dave Wannstadt, NFL on Fox, along with a variety of other places, Big Ten Network, NBC Sports, Chicago, The Score in Chicago. You can follow him on Twitter at Coach Wannstedt. Coach, it's David and Mark. Hope you and your family have been well. Are you in Naples or are you in the tundra?
No, I'm in the Windy City right now. I'm here in Chicago. Actually, I'm going to get through Naples next week for about 3 days. Excuse me. My grandkids will be down there, and so I'll get through about 3 days, and then I'll come back here. It's just going to LA every week. It's a lot, obviously, easier, from Chicago than it is from Fort Myers Airport. So
No doubt.
I'll be here till the end of the season, then get back on to my house here in Naples.
Good deal.
All right. Well, I'm curious, Dave. We were talking about this just before the break. You coached at the college level, you coached at the pro level. You never had to coach through a pandemic. How the coaches that you talk to with what's going on, with the uncertainty on a day-to-day basis that they've had to deal with now for damn near 2 seasons, Dave, how are the coaches that you are in contact with on a constant basis, how are they able to deal with this?
Well, I think what you're finding is a lot. Obviously, you better have, you always wanted guys on your practice squad or guys that weren't going to be playing. When you went through training camp, if you find a kid that had potential and you said, you know what, in a year or two, this guy might have to play for us. We might have a chance, but he gives good effort. He'll be a good scout team player. Let's keep him around. The people that I talk to now, if you look at the players that are on practice squads, I mean, they're players with experience, players that can come in and play right now. So, from a personnel standpoint, everyone's trying to keep their roster as deep with players that have experience as compared to the young kids that generally would be able to come in and just be kind of a scout team guy for you. So that's one way. And the other way, the most discouraging thing about it is if a guy gets hurt and you have a week to prepare, you make adjustments. You make adjustments with other players. You make adjustments within your game plan to compensate for the player that's going to be missing. But with the way the testing was and still is to some degree, I mean, this could come up the night before the game, and now you truly are at a disadvantage. And I think that's been evident, the last couple of weeks.
Dave, you coached on both Saturdays and Sundays. When you coached, what was the biggest difference? Because obviously Urban, who was a great Saturday coach, and it didn't work on Sunday. And many people are going to say it was his approach. What did you find was the biggest difference that you had to make as a coach going from one to the other?
Well, I can speak firsthand when we left the University of Miami.
Right.
Very similar to Urban's. I mean, I think my whole time in Miami, we lost one regular season game and competed for championships every year. And then we went to the Cowboys, and the difference there, when we went up there, Jimmy brought his entire defensive staff. It was the same guys, myself, Butch Davis, Dave Campbell, the same guys that ran the defense for him at Miami. I went up there. I took the playbook. We took the same player. We brought 3 or 4 coaches on offense. Jimmy brought his trainer. Jimmy brought his administrative assistant. So when we went into that organization, we knew we were going to hit some hard times. And when we won one game our first year. So, I mean, I know Urban was a lot of pressure, guys, but the pressure in Jacksonville was not like replacing Tom Landry in Dallas. Trust me, okay? Trust me. So we were in a firestorm up there. But what made it, and Jimmy and I were talking about this last week on the Fox show, and we had no cracks in the armor. I mean, when we were going through difficult times, everybody from the equipment guys to the trainers to the PR directors, man, we were all focused on what we were trying to get done, and we got through it. And then as we got better players, obviously, is when we won through the draft and got good talent, free agents, and so forth. But I think during those tough times, boy, there was a big crack of communication at Jacksonville with Urban Meyer and his coaches and the players. And I'm sure that it trickled through other departments, other areas of that organization. I would bet on it. But and in Dallas, we did a great job. Jimmy did a great job of saying, hey, when we had been through it all at Miami, we had been through it all at Oklahoma State. Some of us have been together for like 8 or 10 years before we got there. And that made the difference in my mind.
Well, David, it's hypothetical. We don't know whatever it would be, but you have to also admit that today it would have been harder to do what you pulled off in Dallas of keeping communications lines because everybody's got a cell phone now, social media, all the other things that are out there. It's a lot easier for a guy like me to get to an assistant coach or a trainer and get something than it was then. I mean, it was a lot easier to circle the wagons and close the doors down and say nobody talks to anybody, wasn't it?
Sure. Yeah, I would agree with you. Absolutely. But the one thing too, and we had a few confrontations real early, but our approach there was, I think, a little bit different too with the players, because we basically said, hey, listen, this is the only way we know how to do it. And we could speak for all of us. It wasn't a collection of two guys from the NFL and two guys from this university and two guys from that. I mean, we had come as a group, and we basically told the players, guys, we get it. If you think this is college stuff and you think what we're trying to do here really is crazy, then hey, no hard feelings. But if you want to stick with us, we need you. We want you. And you look at the Kenny Nortons of the world and Nate Newtons of the world and Jim Jeffcoats. I mean, we had a big nucleus of players that were there already that bought in and stuck with us. And they were a major part. Billy Bates. I mean, they were a major part of us. We started winning Super Bowls.
Right. And Randy White very early on looked and said, yeah, I good luck. I don't think I can do this with you guys. And he just retired. He took you guys up on your offer, which is, hey, if this isn't for you, that's okay. No hard feelings. We're talking with Dave Wannstadt, who's part of the NFL on Fox and various other media outlets, who has been in Chicago for most of the year. How do you think the young quarterback has done here in his rookie year? And obviously the team has issues, personnel, line, and what have you. And you've been through that as well. How do you think he's done?
Well, it's sad to say this because for 5 years, the conversation about the draft was that Trevor Lawrence, he's going to be the first pick and he's going to be the next Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. And I hate to say this, but, it didn't help Urban. They're sitting there with 2 wins and the quarterback that had more publicity than anyone in years has really just become a guy, in my opinion. I love him. I mean, I think the upside's there. I think he's going to be a great player. But right now, he's not even in any conversations, to be quite honest with you. And I know Jacksonville people don't want to hear that, but that's the reality of it. And is it what they're doing or what they're telling him, or is he just having some rookie struggles, or is it the personnel around him? It could be a little bit of all that stuff. But the guy really isn't, I got to see a lot more. To be honest with you.
I'll ask you the same question about a second-year guy then. Tua's just got done winning all these games in a row. Outside of Baltimore, it wasn't great talent he was playing against, but they have the similar problems. That offensive line, while getting a little bit better, is by no means good. They don't have much of a running game to speak of. And there are people that are starting to see the progression in Tua. Are you?
Oh, I was a Tua fan from the beginning. I was, and when he turned his game around is when all the Deshaun Watson talk, all the trade talk about Deshaun Watson coming from Houston, when the trade period ended and all that quiet got silenced, ended. Then all of a sudden, I think it was the next week, Tua went out and he had a good game, and he is just put layers on top of layers on top of layers after that. And yes, Troy Aikman didn't come into his own until his third year. And I know in today's NFL, everybody wants it faster. We live in a microwave society now that we want it fast and we want it done now. But I hope they give Tua time. I think, I do definitely think he's a quarterback that you can build around.
The Bucs were 7-5 last year, and then they didn't lose another game. And obviously in these parts, we're paying close attention. They have a lot more injuries this year, Dave. Do you have concerns about the Bucs the rest of the way in the playoffs, or do you think that they'll get it together and make a deep run?
Yeah, you know what? I got concerns now. Now, last week on our NFL Fox show, I said the Bucs were my favorite in the NFC, and I named about half the players that got hurt. You got to have players to win games, particularly not to get into the playoffs. And they're going to be but when you're talking about beating Aaron Rodgers and you're talking about possibly beating Kyler Murray, going out and beating Matthew Stafford and the Rams, you got to have enough talent. And what happened to them in that Saints game? Generally, a little bit like we were talking about the COVID situation earlier, if a player gets hurt on a Sunday, you have the whole week from a coach's standpoint to get ready. What happened to the Bucs on Sunday, I think it was, when they played the Saints, whatever day it was, during the game, they lose Leonard Fournette and they lose Goodwin. I mean, they lost players, Devontae Adams. They lost linebacker, Devontae David. They lost a lot of players during that game, and that's what put them at a disadvantage. So they'll be better this week. There's no question about that. But I do think the injuries, are going to play a factor in this thing. I'm concerned now. Mike Evans, the receiver, went out with a hamstring injury.
Absolutely. And Godwin obviously out, Fournette banged up. That was a devastating loss for the Bucs. Right now, if I told you to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, you could have the Packers or the field. Who would you take?
I would take the Packers. Packers, I'll tell you why. We know about Aaron Rodgers and their whole offense, but they have 3 Pro Bowl players, 2 on defense, Smith, the pass rusher, Alexander, the corner. And they have right now, do you guys realize that Aaron Rodgers, with Billy Turner out last week, one of their tackles, Aaron Rodgers was playing with 4 starting original offensive linemen out. And I think 3 of those guys are going to come back this week, if not next week. So they're getting a lot of their better players back because they weren't season-ending injuries. They were just, hamstrings and stuff like that. So I like the Packers.
And I believe when they went to Arizona and beat the Cardinals on that short week, they had the very same thing going on the offensive line. He is remarkable. It's why he may go back-to-back with winning MVPs. Dave, first off, thanks for making time for us. We always appreciate it. Secondly, all the best to you and your family. Stay safe with your travels. Be well. And hopefully we can catch up in 2022.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, guys. Same to you.
Dave Wannstadt joining us, NFL on Fox and a variety of other outlets, Big Ten Network, NBC Sports Chicago, The Score in Chicago. Coach Wannstadt is how you can follow him on Twitter.
He is a out and about guy in the 239 when he makes it down here. Not too tough to find Coach Wannstadt out and about in the Naples area once football season ends.
Well, you spent 5 months in Chicago. Okay. And you take that flight from O'Hare. And when you land, you hit the ground running.
I got to tell you, it was pretty funny when Wannstadt's talking about travel. I can just see Moulton's head nodding back and forth going, yeah, I fly from Southwest Florida to L.A. 4 times a year, and it sucks.
I can name the 5 flights from O'Hare to RSW right now. Miller and Moulton, 15 minutes after the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. On Festivus, December 23rd, air your sports grievances to us on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Like Jair Alexander making a Pro Bowl. I think he's one of the 3 best corners in the NFC. I do. He's missed half the year.
Wow. I didn't realize she died that long ago. Rex Chapman tweeted out or retweeted a thing from Madeline Kahn doing "I'm Tired" from Comic Relief, the Blazing Saddles thing. She did it again in '86 in the first Comic Relief. God dang it. That's such a good scene. That's a funny woman right there. Was.
Yes.
My goodness. Whoa, bless you.
Thank you.
I've got a little something here that I think can get us through a short segment, David.
Okay. Do you know what happened today? Franco.
Oh, the catch that wasn't a catch?
Immaculate reception.
The incomplete pass. Hey.
$30 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes after the hour. We'll talk a little NBA at the top of next hour. The bonus hour for those of you in the 239, for those of you in Tampa, St. Pete. Stream the show. Look us up, Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. You can follow us. You can subscribe to us. You can give us grief in the Twitch chat room. And we are asking for, well, that which gives you grief as a sports fan. The airing of grievances is what Festivus is known for on December 23rd. What are your sports grievances? Sports.
One of my old broadcast friends and someone I grew up in the business with says the New York Giants on our Facebook page.
Simply, that's it.
That's it. That's his grievance. And he's as old as I am. I think he's actually a year older. You've always said you're still playing with house money, but it's starting to get to you.
Well, yeah. I mean, being the second worst team in the league in a 5-year stretch is sobering. 9 out of 10 losing seasons. Yeah. But I mean, come on, man. I mean, during our lifetime, they've gone to 5 Super Bowls. They won the final game 4 times.
So I caught this little article during the break that was John McMullen, who's been on our show a million times. And Rick Goslin wrote it for SI about officiating crews. There are 17 officiating crews. They call the games vastly differently.
Yes, they do.
They spotlight 2 crews in this article, the Carl Cheffers crew and the Bill Vinovich crew. Cheffers, since 2013, has finished first in penalties twice and leads again this year. It has finished second in penalties twice and third once. In that time, Vinovich is one of the least, throws the least amount of flags. The difference between the two is staggering. This season, the Vinovich crew has thrown 128 flags for 1,076 yards, David. The Cheffers crew, 202 penalties for 1,709 yards. A 74 difference in penalties between the 2 crews.
Let's see. They've done roughly 14 games.
They do a game every week, yeah.
Right. Well, there's one extra crew per game, so I'm guessing they all get a bye week at some point. Let's just say they've done 14 games.
Right.
14 or 15. If they've done 15, 75 penalties, that's 5 extra penalties a game.
Correct. And a difference of 40 yards. The average for all of the crews is right in the middle of this. While one is averaging 9.8, the other 14.4. The average of the crews is 12.3 for 106. I mean, it damn near splits right down the middle.
So
but that's staggering to me that there is a difference between 5 flags between the lowest penalized crew and the highest. That's a lot of penalties, David.
You would think at some point during the year that the league would go to one of the 2 crews if not both, but one of the two crews and say, listen, upon further review, you guys are over officiating or under officiating.
Now, I will say it was the Vinovich crew that had the Rams Saints NFC Championship game.
That's ironic.
I mean, they're the one that threw the least amount of penalties, and on the biggest penalty that we've seen in a big game ever, they didn't call it.
Well, did the crew have it, or was he just the referee? Because don't they do all-star crews for the playoffs, or are they back to just doing?
They're saying that the Vinovich's crew. I only
Okay.
can go by what I'm reading in the article, David. But I know what you're talking about, because that's been Pat's bone of contention for a while, is that they're putting these
all-star crews together.
Somebody in the Twitch chat room asked about Hockley. Hockley is the next highest flag throwing crew. They have the Cheffers crew has 13 more penalties than Hockley's crew.
So that's only one a game, basically.
Right. The Vinovich crew has thrown 16 fewer flags than Ron Torbert, who is the next. And even in that one, between 2 and 2, there's a 45 penalty and 370-yard disparity between crew 2 and crew 16. I find that fascinating, that when you would think at some point you might want to change crews and let's mix these guys together a little bit.
DC in our Twitch chat room says, listen, I want to hear about the 10 and 15-yard penalties. Ignore the 5-yard penalties because most of them are shift, procedure,
right?
That sort
delay
of deal.
game.
And that's,
they're obvious.
But in theory, the 10 and 15-yard penalties are more judgment calls.
So it's a great point.
10, 15, and PIs, obviously. I mean, those would be the ones in which I'd want to take the 5-yarders out. And I understand that some 5-yarders can be,
defensive holding is a 5-yard penalty, and that's a very big penalty.
But it's interesting, though.
I just thought it was I thought it was good info. And I guess with all of that, have you, or would you now going forward, is that something that you guys have ever paid attention to in the booth of the crew and how much they call games?
Yeah, we actually have the stats beforehand as to whether or not. Plus, we usually can talk to Mike Pereira, and he can let us know, so-and-so's doing the game. Okay, they call it tight. Gives us a quick scouting report. Things to know. Oh, okay.
One thing Mike. I would love you to ask, Mike, how much in-season stuff, how much is the league looking at these numbers? How much is the league trying to talk to a crew during the season? Is that, I mean, I know there's constant communication, but is it, hey, you guys are calling 5 more penalties a game or 3 more penalties a game than everybody else? What's the deal?
Right. As Marv Levy was caught on NFL film saying one time, "You over-officious jerk." That was one of the great NFL Films audio clips of all time. He's boasting before the game, "Hey, I went to college with that guy." All right. And then he catches up with him before the game, and they're talking. And by the third quarter, he's yelling at him, "You over-officious jerk." Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. We'll talk a little NBA coming up at the top of the hour. We'll make our picks, not just for tonight, Niners and Titans, but also heading into the weekend with just 3 of them left in the regular season. This the final one of December. We're taking your sports grievances in honor of Festivus, the airing of grievances. What is it that is bothering you the most, Mark? This is something which I think you have heard a lot. A gentleman in our Twitch chat room says, I got a sports grievance. The NHL really needs to do a better job to generate more interest in the sport. How about buying more airtime? Now, I will say this. Everybody who's into hockey boasting about, hey, the NHL's back on ESPN. They've had like 3 games on ESPN.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because we're in this studio where ESPN's on all the time, unless we actually change a channel to the NFL Network, and you're not here every day. You've been traveling. So this thing's on in the background. This is like when they first started grabbing soccer. The top 10 plays, there's 3 hockey plays every night. The other part of this is working for the NHL. They are showing a tremendous amount of highlights. And through all the ESPN Plus and all that, games are getting aired. I don't know if it matters right now. Everybody's so football, 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 and that's all they want for their coverage to be, that when you do watch, and I don't know who watches SportsCenter anymore, but if you are watching it, you're getting hockey highlights.
Well, that's what I would counter to you, in which I would say, well, it used to be a big deal to be on SportsCenter because people watched it. Now the only one that they are watching is Scott Van Pelt's.
But it's still getting hockey highlights. They're still doing the top 10 plays during that. So I don't know. I mean, I still think they're getting far more coverage on this network than they ever did before.
Now, if you get your sports mostly by streaming, there's a ton more hockey because damn near every game's on ESPN Plus, seemingly. And so if that's how you take in your sports, you're like, oh, this is phenomenal. I get so much more NHL than I was getting before. And I had to pay so much more for it because I had to buy the DirecTV package. Well, now I don't have to. Oh, okay. But for those of you who you basically take in your sports by you grab your clicker and you go through the channels, and if it's on, you watch. And if it's not, you don't go and find it. There's far less hockey than has been on in the last 15 years.
Right. But if you are, I still think that person who's using their clicker is watching SportsCenter too. So they're getting the highlights. I don't know. I will say we do have quite a few grievances here. Remember, you text into the show by texting FSN Radio. That's the keyword, FSN Radio, to 21,000. This person says, my grievance is during Steelers game. The announcer says, these fans travel well. I correct him out loud with, you moron, we live here. Can I air my sports grievance?
You only have one?
I have one. I'm going to do it on the other side. It's going to surprise some people, and I'm probably going to tick off a few people with it. But I have one sports grievance. Only one.
Huh.
And I will tell you who it's with.
Is it anybody I know?
Yep.
Huh. Oh, okay.
Everybody knows him.
Huh. Wow.
And I'm going to tick a few people off when I tell you who it is.
28 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Second deal there.
It's 2 days in a row you've fallen asleep in that chair. I caught you yesterday during the segment. I tried to tap David. We were talking. I looked and you were just.
Before you were hired, Raj consistently fell asleep like the last few days that he was filling in. You had just been hired, but you couldn't start till Monday. And he was constantly. It was spectacular.
I think in the last 6 days or 5 nights, I've slept a total of 18 hours.
Well, and the thing that sucks also is that you literally, I don't believe, had an opportunity to jam in a nap.
No. And I love my naps.
How long before you're asleep today?
As soon as I get out of here, I'm going to sleep.
Make sure you make it home.
Because I have to drive home. I can't drive home right now. I'll die.
Yeah, don't even think about it.
Drive home with the windows wide open.
No, like the 2-hour drive is what I'm saying.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you got a nap.
No, I got
Yeah. Plus, you don't want to show up home a zombie.
Exactly.
You guys leave tomorrow?
No, we leave the 26th morning, really early. 26.
Out of Miami?
Yeah. I will say, you were talking about airports It must suck having to do all these connections through RSW and stuff.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, I will say there are more direct flights than there were like even 5 years ago.
Mhm.
Like even you can get an Air Alaska direct flight to Seattle from here into LA. What
Wow.
really sucks is I miss out on many direct flights because they're the first flight of the day and the show.
Yeah.
And that's why I end up, when I have to go west, I end up always having to take connectors because the direct flights are usually early.
When you fly out to LA, what's the route?
Well, it depends. I hate American, but oftentimes it's American through Dallas. Sometimes,
Why do you hate American?
there's no TVs. The service sucks.
Okay.
And the planes are old.
You didn't have to yell at me. It was
Oh,
just a
just,
question.
hey.
It was just a. I just asked a simple
I know
question.
that. I know
because
that.
this, you son
Exactly. It just, hey, it's Festivus, baby. The airing of grievances.
The airing of grievances.
The American grievance is built up over time.
The kicker there is Gabe Fernandez. Whoever someone liked a tweet that he said out, basically said, "I just started watching the Seinfeld show. You know what? I tried to be cynical, but it's actually pretty good." Like, no kidding.
Yep.
No kidding.
Imagine that.
Almost.
Your TV's your phone. You don't need TVs. I mean, do you?
Would you like to do anything with the Festivus Bowl? Oh my gosh, that was pretty funny.
You ever heard of Netflix? Just download the shows and you get to watch them offline. Okay, sorry. I won't tell you how to fly
it's
anymore.
okay.
I won't tell you how to fly anymore. I'm sorry.
It's not the first time he's heard that.
I will say, though, part of the problem is also certain airlines have very inconsistent Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So if you base everything on that, it can come back and bite
No,
you.
you got to download the shit. You have
Right.
to. You
Yeah.
literally have to download because then the Wi-Fi doesn't matter. Then
Right.
it's on your like.
The night
I'm,
before.
when I was doing all that flying with the Wi-Fi company,
Right.
I was into whatever show I was into. I
Yeah, you
download
told
three-
me, like, hey,
you got to
know,
download the
right,
show.
Yeah. And that
And-
ain't happening.
What is your favorite domestic airline?
Delta.
Really?
Yeah.
Delta's the best airline out there.
Although I will say,
JetBlue's great.
in 2020, because we were out west 9 times, I flew a lot of Air Alaska.
They're-
It's a good, solid airline.
They're always winning the awards of best airline, by the way.
That-
Really?
Yeah,
it's a-
they consistently win top airline, or they're right up there, but they're just not here.
Don't think I've ever flown that.
There's
Brad, what's up, buddy? Same to you, buddy. Ah, you made my day popping here, Jimmy.
Millsy.
Give my best to Linda. Fun little factoid. Jim Spradlin there. I hope you don't care, Jim, because no one knows who you are anyhow, so you shouldn't. But Jim Spradlin, at my first wedding, my buddy who was in, Jim was one of the person that traveled the longest that wasn't in the wedding party, because it was a pretty big wedding party. But Jim
10
and one of the
seconds.
groomsmen who was breaking up with his girlfriend, Jim ended up kind of dating her. They're still married.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Like to wish an early Merry Christmas to everyone out there. This is our last show of the week. We will be off tomorrow, especially for those in the Tampa St. Pete area, with us signing off here in about 15 or so minutes. So an early Merry Christmas, and thanks for the support, everyone. Act 3 of Miller and Moulton, this time on the Florida Sports Network. Mark, do just want to throw this in there. Airing of sports grievances before we get to yours, which sounds like it's going to be a doozy. Ryan says my sports grievance is with the NFL. The Super Bowl, speaking on behalf of America, schedule it the Sunday before President's Day, okay? And this whole day before Valentine's Day, yeah, you guys suck. Signed, Ryan speaking on behalf of America.
Yeah, we'll see about that, because that just means that we're a few years away from a Super Bowl on Valentine's Day.
Nothing says I love you, honey. Quite like, hey, you don't mind if we eat at 3, right? 4 at the latest?
How about Perkins? This person does say, grievance, Cal Ripken Jr., Joe Carter, and David Freese wrecking the Phillies playoffs. That's just, I mean, not like he's holding a grudge or anything.
Wow, that's spanning
Right.
decades there.
Wow. And this one says, I have a grievance for employees that aren't team players, the ones that only think about themselves. For example, hey, I'm going to grab breakfast. You guys want anything?
Come on.
In case you missed the show, Philly
Yesterday.
used DoorDash to order himself breakfast and didn't ask the 2 hosts of the show, who are his bosses, if they wanted anything. Enjoy vacation, young man. Enjoy vacation. But I have to get to this grievance. I've thought about this since we decided on this being a show, and I know this will upset a few people, and I don't really care. My grievance is with one person and one person only. It's with the governor of the state of Florida. Because Ron's costing me money now.
Are you sure about that?
Positive.
You sure he's not saving you money?
No, I'm positive he's costing me a great deal of money, because he illegally tried to make gambling happen in Florida when everybody knew what he did was illegal and it was going to fail. And now we're going to have to wait 2 years before we can possibly make a legal bet in this state. And it is 100% his fault. It's no one else's fault. There is no one else responsible other than the governor of the state. And he screwed it up. And he's done a lot of great things. I like that we're open. I like that we don't have to wear masks. I like that for the last 2 years we've been able to live a little bit in Florida. But you blew this one, Ron. You blew it 67 different ways. So there.
Feel better? Are you sure he's cost you money, though? It is, after all, called gambling.
What do we do for a living, David?
Well,
We do a sports talk show.
right.
Our whole industry would have benefited by legalized gambling.
Oh, okay.
He cost me money.
Gotcha. I was thinking in terms of you being unable to gamble.
I can still gamble. I know bookies. Hasn't
Okay.
stopped me one bit.
All right.
It's hurt us
Well, there's no doubt about that.
staggeringly.
This format will
Thrive.
right. We're in the money.
Yeah.
Yes. There's.
I mean, and this isn't a guess. These are facts. Go ask people that are doing sports talk radio in Michigan or Pennsylvania or Jersey or somewhere where they've legalized gambling.
First time Roger Goodell has been brought up today as a grievance. I will say, gentleman who brings him up and says he is one giant grievance. That funny. That funny. Klecko in our Twitch chat room, still bitter that Hank Aaron is not the all-time home run king. That Bonds broke his record, or as he says, broken by a cheater.
And Ramsey says, I agree on the gambling. Placed 3 bets the AM that it was shut down. Those were stone cold locks.
Of course they were. Of course they were. But it's going to have to go on a ballot in November of next year. And then if it passes, and I'm sure that the ballot initiative will be horribly misrepresented, but if it passes, the thought is it will not be enacted until the spring of 2023. So you're looking at least one more complete football season in which we will not be able to wager the way that many other states in this wager do so now.
So that's my sports grievance, David.
Okay. All right. I've got so many, but they're little. You know, it bothers me the conferences that are giving schools a loss because they couldn't play because of COVID. Now, if you knew for a fact that they violated protocols, then I would be in favor of giving them losses by forfeit. But otherwise, for something that seemingly can be as random as it is, with there being numerous examples of people having every shot imaginable and still contracting COVID, that I think that that's a little harsh, particularly when it could easily be the difference between teams making the tournament and not.
Well, there certainly needs to be. I mean, that committee has an even more difficult job this year, if that indeed is the case, David, of how they're going to have to sift through what teams make it and what teams don't, if you know what I mean.
I will say, for the gentleman whose grievance is Roger Goodell, mine would be Mark Emmert. My biggest grievance would probably be the NCAA. And I understand that this is individual conferences making the decisions about forfeits or not forfeits because of COVID. But my biggest grievance, Mark, I don't think anything gets me going quite like Mark Emmert / the NCAA.
Well, and that's why, to me, I have a little one today with Hancock and the College Football Playoff Committee basically saying that the 3 most important games left in the season, if we have a COVID problem, we're going to forfeit them. I want to know what these players have planned and what these coaches have planned that they can't move a game. We've moved everything.
Yes. The NFL last year played on every day of the week but Wednesday.
And we're missing a Friday this year for that to happen, since we've had the Monday and Tuesday this week already.
Klecko in our Twitch chat room says, my grievance is analytics. They've ruined 2 beautiful games, baseball and basketball. Mine is the decision not to kick field goals all the times. And I'm for the 4th and 1, 4th and 2, just across midfield. That I agree with. But first possession of the game, 4th and goal at the 5, and you're not kicking a field goal. That to me is just asinine. I'm sorry. You could give me all the numbers in the world you want. I will never, ever agree with you.
David, just quickly, bigger grievance, not taking the 3 points or the current overtime rules.
Oh, wow.
Coming at you where it hurts, David.
You really are.
As you were going through all that, I was waiting for the coin flip. I was waiting for you to say my grievances with the damn coin toss.
Yeah, I aired that earlier in the week. So,
but out of the 2, analytics for going for it on 4th when you could put 3 points on the board early, or the overtime rules, which bothers you more? To me, and because these bother me not nearly to the level they bother you, but the field goal is more to me, simply because there are far less overtime games. It doesn't happen all that often. And even in the overtime games, how often does a team go down and just score a touchdown? I mean, even with all the overtime games, we typically don't get a drive and a touchdown to end it. So I have a far bigger problem with the 4th and 5, let's go for it in the first quarter play.
Which overtime do we think sucks more?
College.
College or pro?
College, and it ain't close. At least before, when they played at the 25-yard line all the way through. And I think I said it the other day. My son was the one, and you had something similar. I think he said he wants him to start at the 50.
Yeah, I mean, I said the 40 years ago, but get it out of scoring range. I mean, if you have a defensive-based team, it is a huge disadvantage that they start with the ball in scoring range. I mean, and it really, to me, hit home the so-called game of the century this century, Alabama LSU, when it went to overtime tied at 6. Well, Alabama was moving the ball the whole game. Now, they didn't get in the red zone very often, but they were moving it in between the 30s. They were moving it in between the 25s. Fact of the matter was their kickers were having a bad day. They missed 4 out of 6 field goals. But LSU wasn't moving the ball at all that day. I mean, at all. They got like a turnover in scoring range and kick 3, and they had one little drive where they moved it like 40 yards, and they were able to get a long field goal out of it. So when that game started and the ball was already in scoring range, I thought to myself, well, this is a big advantage for LSU. They can't even get a first down. And not only that, their kicker is so much better than Alabama's. And as fate would have it, it played out that way. Alabama missed their long field goal. LSU got 1 first down, kicked a chippy, and won the game. hate where they started.
With you. When Jake said to me the 50, and I know you had said it a long time ago, I just hadn't heard it. I'm like, I like that. I like that. You got to get 2 first downs to have, you have to get 2 first downs to have a legit makeable field goal. Yeah, you could get 1 and kick a long field goal, but that's by no means an automatic.
But at least you have to get a first down.
Right. And he even said it's one possession. Like, he would go back to ties.
You know me.
And as someone said in the Twitch chat room, to eliminate ties, not in the Miller and Moulton world.
No, I'd bring them back. No, I'd bring them back. I'd bring them back in hockey, by the way.
I hate hockey overtime. I get why they do it, but I hate it.
A lot of games go to overtime in the NHL, overtime/shootout. A lot. Big percentage of games in comparison to all the other sports. In fact, I would argue, and I don't have the numbers, but I could probably get them by Monday. I would argue there are more hockey games that are tied after regulation than baseball, basketball, and football combined. And to have such gimmicky overtime and shootout rules, and the shootout in general, to me, that's one of the biggest disservices in the sport. Here's a grievance. I would change the point system in the NHL.
Right. 3 for a regulation win, 2 for an overtime win, 1 for an overtime loss, 0 for a regulation loss.
Totally.
Right. What's funny is, having had worked in hockey, we did that several times where we literally would go back and do the points that way.
And it oftentimes
it
works out the same.
very rarely changes anything.
Yep. But I do think there needs to be more an emphasis on winning in regulation.
All right. I've got a bunch of grievances here on the text line. Again, you text FSN radio to 21,000. This person just says David Gettleman. Enough said.
You got that right.
My grievance is with the Southwest Florida Dolphin fans that want to throw away Tua the minute he's not Tom Brady. Hashtag I don't want Watson.
I like that.
This person's grievance is with the Pirates. Ever since Sid slid, Bonds left for San Francisco, bulked up like Lou Ferrigno, and the team had 21 straight losing seasons. My only hope is that the lockout never ends, so that way we never have another losing season.
Wow.
That is a forgotten franchise. Having the in-laws from Pittsburgh, how much the Pirates are loved in that town, but no one can really embrace them because they're so bad.
And a great stadium.
It's phenomenal.
Very scenic, too.
Yes.
Along the river there.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
It's absolutely, I've been to a game there. It's gorgeous.
I won't get into it too much, but LeBron shouldn't have left back to Cleveland.
Yes, he should have.
Yes, he should
Yes,
have.
he should have.
Yeah,
That,
he
that's
In fact, I
He
could
totally
argue
should've.
he never should have left Cleveland for L.A., but he definitely should have gone back to Cleveland.
Yeah, who am I kidding? That championship was glorious.
and it changed his legacy
Yeah,
completely. He brought Cleveland a title.
I'm just a stubborn Heat fan.
Could have won 6 of them in Miami. It doesn't equal the 1 in Cleveland.
Nope.
That's a good point.
By the way, I think there's a chance he goes back.
By the way, this
No.
last one's for you and I, David. Rays 2020 World Series, Game 6.
There you go.
Kevin Cash pulling
Blake
unhittable
Snell.
Blake Snell in the 6th.
Got that right.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Got that right. As we said at the time, let's mark how long it takes for the Rays to get back to the World Series and be within 2 games of winning the whole thing.
Tampa St. Pete, Merry Christmas. We will be back on Monday. We are off tomorrow. Thanks for taking us into your cars, your homes, your telephones, wherever you may take us. And we look forward to a lot more in the coming year and next week. We'll be back on Monday. For Southwest Florida, it's our bonus hour locally on the other side. Thank you so much for listening to Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M, only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
No, his ex-father-in-law was long past.
Yeah, where you been? Buried in
Used to do
bourbon?
a lot of business with him.
Gotcha.
Hangs with his crew still,
Okay.
but Earl, 2-3 years ago.
Okay. Doesn't see her at all, does he?
Oh, she lives in Fiddlesticks. Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I think, ironically, the two are friendly.
Really? Oh, I'm sure they bond over complaining about him.
I just always told them, like, oh yeah, but the one might.
Right. Klecko, both of your grievances are right on the money.
Yeah, I'm with you on both of those. I'm just seeing those. Yeah. And Johnny Mac, there is something to be said for that philosophy because I have trouble watching a Notre Dame Michigan game now. As long as there was a chance for a tie, I had something to root for in that game.
It's tough to root for injuries.
I can't do that anymore.
Right.
They're young. I've never rooted for injuries. I've never.
I haven't either.
I shouldn't say that. I have with that big money fantasy league. When I was down to the money, there was times that I definitely wish for the quarterback that I didn't start to, hurt his leg on the first play and be back next week. I can honestly say I've done that.
I have a grievance, but I wasn't even alive to see it.
Well, then you can't have that as a grievance.
Yeah, but it disappoints me every time I think about it.
I would please tell me what it is.
Len Bias. So sad. They were in the finals every year, and then you add Len Bias. There's no telling what that team could have done.
What is really amazing is how they actually were able to even draft him.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is the bigger thing.
So one of the most shocking sports stories out there.
This woman took to Twitter yesterday and said, I don't get male friendships. They just sit in a room and look at each other. And our next guest, Ben, tweeted back, it's mostly sitting in a room and naming as many running backs from 2003 to 2010 as we can remember.
There was a tweet about that got like 1 million likes. That men can just sit down and just start naming off old sports players just all day, just have the time of their life.
So what happened here? Apparently everybody's going nuts on Wheel of Fortune here. Apparently she got the car, but they didn't give her the car. No, she went choosing the right card, and then she went, oh, because it wasn't choosing. She went, word, the right word, and they didn't give it to her. Choosing the right word was the phrase. She didn't say the whole phrase. She said choosing the right card, and then she went there and she looked at it because that was you get the 15 seconds, and she was word.
Ben's on
She
hold,
said card
and we're
first.
back in 10
But
seconds.
she didn't say choosing the right word. If she would have said choosing the right word, because you've got 15 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton. It's our final hour of the day and of the week, since we will take tomorrow off. So an early Merry Christmas to you and yours. Today is December 23rd. That is Festivus, the airing of grievances, and we're not looking for those, but we are looking for your sports grievances. And that's where we'll start with Ben Wittenstein, who covers the NBA for Stadium, host of Points in the Paint podcast, co-host of Points in the Paint podcast. You can follow Ben on Twitter at, well, Ben Wittenstein, spelled Stein. Ben, David, and Mark, thanks for your time. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Well, let's start with, just feel 2 or 3 right off your chest. Okay, your sports grievances, go.
I'm actually pretty happy I don't have a ton of sports grievances, especially with the NBA, because there are still games going on. And honestly, with all the COVID issues and all the players testing positive, they could have very easily just been like, we're going to shut down the league for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and let the players get healthy. But most of them are vaccinated. They're all fairly healthy. So I don't have too much to be upset that the NBA is just kind of plowing through.
Well, the next thing that's going to come up is the trade deadline. Let's start with Lillard. Where do you think he ends up? This thing has obviously gotten to a point where it doesn't seem like it can be fixed. He has grievances. Where is he going to end up?
That's a really good question. And, the thing is, there's just rumors flying everywhere about places he can go. And I know Philly has kind of popped up as one of those places because they have Ben Simmons that they could offer him. So if he could go to a team like the 76ers, that would be probably one of the best setups he could have. And his list of grievances for Portland, I'm sure, is extremely long. They haven't built a true contender around him. They've had injury issues for, the past 3 or 4 years. They keep getting bounced out of the playoffs, the past 3 or 4 years in the first round or the second round. And he's doing pretty much all he can do. He's, how many half-court 3-point shots does he have to make for this team to be able to at least make a finals run? So it makes sense that he wants out, or that he seemingly wants out of Portland. And, if I were to guess, a team that could probably offer Portland the most would be the 76ers with Ben Simmons. I don't know if they're willing to part with a draft pick, but if Simmons isn't going to play this year for the 76ers, they might as well try to give him up with a draft pick and get Lillard.
Well, and Ben, let's face it, the Lillard scenario is interesting if he goes to a team where we think he will make a difference in terms of who can legitimately compete for a championship. Like, I'm a Knicks fan. And if the Knicks pull it off, and goodness knows they have the resources to get them, but I mean, Damian Lillard will only take them from maybe the play-in to, I don't know, losing in the first round. That's not as interesting. I mean, it's really the Lillard situation is interesting if he goes to some place not named Phoenix or Brooklyn.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I think he needs to go to one of those, tier 2 teams that you need like his type of superstar to really push them over the edge. And there's talk about him going to like the Timberwolves, which I don't know how much that would push them over the hump depending on who they would give up.
If you're Boston, Ben, would you give up one of the big two to get them? Because it just seems as if they're at a level with those two and they can't get a complimentary piece. And we even wonder how well things are with their two. Would you break up your big two to go with Lillard and then maybe other parts so that you've got an inside and you've got an outside?
Yeah, honestly, I probably would if I'm Boston, because Boston's just treading water at this point. I don't see them as being a serious contender this year without some moves. And you have two pieces, right, in Tatum and Brown, who are both individually really good, and then you put them together with this team, and you get 500 basketball. You don't get great basketball. So you may like both of these guys, but if you want the Celtics to be good, you're going to have to probably get rid of one of them. And if you can get someone of Dame's caliber back, and you say you get rid of Jaylen Brown, you have Dame and Tatum, that's going to make it extremely difficult to defend a team like that.
David mentioned the Knicks, and you look at the standings, see the Hawks down there. What's going on there? We expected more out of them this year. I know they've had, like everybody deals with injuries and the like, but why are they so mediocre this year?
I'm really starting to think that the Julius Randle that we saw before the playoffs last year was almost a fluke. It seems like his playoff play that we saw last season, where he just wasn't effective and couldn't shoot the ball well, that might be the true Julius Randle. And I don't want to be too harsh on the guy, but he's going to be the one that takes the Knicks where they want to go. And if he's playing poorly, the Knicks as a whole, I don't think they're that good of a team. They're young, and now without Derrick Rose, he's going to be out, 8 weeks now with ankle surgery. They're just in a very tough spot. I think they need one of their young guys to really break through. And that's going to be tough, because as someone who watched the Bulls, right here in Chicago, and seeing what Tom Thibodeau did with them and the young guys, he's not exactly the best coach at developing young players right away. So they're going to need one of the young guys, either if it's going to be Quickly who's going to have to develop, or Barrett. One of them really needs to break through to either give Julius Randle some help or be the guy that takes over as the superstar in New York. And right now, that has yet to be seen.
They need to trade Barrett. He's not a good enough shooter. They need to use him in a trade, in my opinion. He's Ben Wittenstein. He covers the NBA for Stadium, hosts the Points in the Paint podcast. You can follow Ben on Twitter at Ben Wittenstein, Witten, Stein. Let's talk Heat. We got a big young Heat fan across the glass here. I thought they had a terrific offseason. They're unable to keep their lineup healthy. Let's just assume they can get healthy by April. Are they second tier? Are they at least that good?
Yeah, I think so. And honestly, if they are a fully healthy team, I think they could sneak into that top tier, just kind of be like that bottom team in the top tier, because we all know Spoelstra, what he can do. Even with kind of a bare bones lineup, I have full trust in him to be able to coach a team that doesn't have all of its stars. But when they are all together, and obviously, I'm sure Lowry has been great for this team. I think he's been a great addition for them. I think they can give teams a hard time, especially just because they're so defensive oriented when they're fully healthy. They can give some of these teams like the Bucks or the Nets issues, because they can match up well with them on the defensive side, and then offensively they can go on runs that could put these teams down. So once the playoff time rolls around, if everyone can be healthy, the Heat will be fine, even without Butler, without Adebayo playing a consistent amount of games. I think this team will be able to make a playoff push once they're fully healthy, because there's just not many other teams in the East that can match up as well with them.
My final question for you, Ben, is Zion. If I were to say he never plays another game for the Pelicans, on the crazy scale of 1 to 10, how crazy would you put that?
I honestly don't think that would be too crazy. It's such an unfortunate situation for him. And I don't know if it's his body type and the way he plays, just his knees or his legs can't really support it, but something needs to change with the way he approaches his body and being able to do things like that, because he plays so athletically and so explosively that he's going to need to shed the pounds and shed the weight, which seems like it's been a tough road for him. And if the Pelicans are like, we don't want to deal with all of this, we don't want to deal with you being out for so long, let's trade you away, or we'll wait for the end of the season and we'll package you together. We'll send you a place you want to go. We'll get back more draft picks. I think that would make sense. And I don't know how patient the Pelicans are willing to be with him. My guess is right now, probably pretty patient, but talk to him in a couple months when they're still like waiting for him to make an appearance for the first time this season. Maybe their patience will start to run thin. You know, it's a what can you do for me now league, and he's not doing anything for them right now. So at this point, I could definitely see him leaving New Orleans.
Well, Ben, the thought was 3 years ago when they won the lottery that he was literally going to save the franchise. And if he is not going to be the player that we thought, or he's going to play his way out of New Orleans, well, then is New Orleans going to play their way out of the NBA? I mean, are they going to end up in Seattle or elsewhere? I mean, do you think their future is in fact tied to him literally?
That could be tough. And they are very clearly one of those teams that you look at. And if the NBA is looking at moving teams around in the league, I think the Pelicans would be a very clear candidate for that. It seems like a lot of the fan base is fairly apathetic to them, and they haven't really put up results that a lot of people have wanted. And there's other cities that would do well with an NBA team, and you look at the Pelicans and you think, well, if you move them around, they'll probably get more fans, they'll make more money somewhere else like Seattle. So I don't know if it's extremely tied to Zion, but it certainly doesn't help if the NBA is looking to mix some teams around or add a team to a city. And that's not to say the pressure is super on Zion, but I think the Pelicans definitely feel it. Because like you said, I mean, he's the future. He was supposed to be the future, and he has not played this season, and he missed games last season. So it's not looking great for his track record of health. And if the Pelicans don't want those rumbles of, oh, the NBA is going to relocate this team to grow louder, they're going to have to figure something out probably fairly quickly.
He's Ben Wittenstein. He covers the NBA for Stadium. He hosts Points in the Paint. You can follow Ben on Twitter at Ben Wittenstein. Ben, happy holidays. Thanks so much for your time, and hopefully we can do this again in early 2022.
Absolutely. Happy holidays. Happy Festivus. And you're probably happy you got a radio show to air out all those grievances.
Darn right, Ben. You're darn right. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Ben Wittenstein. Follow him on Twitter at Ben Wittenstein, STEIN, for your spelling.
The grievances, they keep a pouring in, David. The keyword is FSN radio. You text it to 21,000, and then we air your grievances for you. We will do so on the other side.
And I just jam in this one.
Yeah, jam in a grievance, David. Do it.
It's Adam, our Jags fan in the Twitch chat room. He goes, I wish I cared enough about the NBA to really grasp this discussion because it does sound interesting.
Trying to grasp any sort of discussion. That's who we are. That's what we do. Miller and Moulton. Thank you so much for listening to the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I mention that because, not because it's here, because it's the number one. Like, I could see them based on their crowds, David. I want to go after them next year and say, you need to be advertising with us.
Yes.
You need people in Port Charlotte, in Tampa, to know that tournament's here, because you've gotten every basketball. You know who the crowd is at those games? It's us. It's old white guys. and kids.
Yeah.
So, Johnny, I got to tell you, that is eerily similar to the dinner I'm serving, but I'm going with the roasted lemon garlic broccoli. And then apparently my wife's cousin there, or my wife's cousin's husband, he's bringing some sort of dessert that he says is a showstopper. I don't know. I have no idea. I was going with assorted cookies and chocolates.
God, I hate broccoli and cauliflower medley. Sorry.
I don't like broccoli, and I found a way to cook it that I love it.
Huh.
Because I don't like broccoli. And I don't like steamed broccoli either.
Cauliflower.
There's nothing good about cauliflower, David.
There's no taste to cauliflower.
Well, and the taste is bad. Is what it is. I mean, they tried all that no-carb thing and do the cauliflower mashed and all that. You know the only way to make cauliflower mashed even edible? You put so much goat cheese in it that you don't even taste.
Right. Might as well just
have a loaf of goat cheese there to eat that. I'm serious. Yeah. I've tried cauliflower mashed every way but sideways. And you know what it does every time? It sucks. My wife's even funnier about that. She goes, this is terrible. Yeah, I will tell you. I mean, the dog walk this morning in the flip-flops was a lot colder than I expected.
It's barely going to get to 70 today.
I mean, I went full Florida, summer junior. It's the flip-flop shorts and the
should talk about Gasparilla Bowl.
Yes, I think it's right now.
Yeah.
What we don't have any tops left.
Oh.
RCB, don't do that to him.
Oh, if I didn't think my mother was watching, I'd really just blurt out what came to mind.
Johnny, goat fudge. Where does one goat fudge? Fudge mate with goat's milk? Is that what you're telling me? Is there such a thing, or are you making that up?
It seems.
I gotta look up goat fudge. He's still on the phone with the NBA guy. So, Casio back in the day.
Hold on. We're back with Ben Wittenstein. He and Felipe Alvarez host Points in the Paint podcast.
He's applying for a fill-in. He is.
I think he's leaving us. So go. Casio, what?
Oh, no. I mean, this is when we used to have Casio. He would, every once in a while, there'd be a guest, and he would be enamored, and all of a sudden we'd be 5 minutes into the next segment.
It was Pat.
Well, Pat was the best when Pat was coming studio. My favorite when Kerwin used to come into the studio and do the show with us. John would walk in. It's before people blocked their cell phones. Pat still had a flip phone at this point. We're not all iPhone at that point. John would walk in, grab Pat's phone, and then
just start
copying numbers. He would just start sending contacts to himself. And Pat would go, every once in a while, he'd go, can I get, no.
Yeah, Pat would.
No, you cannot take Goodell's number.
Oh, right. Pat would hand him the phone and go, now, certain people are untouchable, right? And you know who they are. And John would go, yes.
And every once in a while, John would look at him and go, is so-and-so okay? Yeah, you can have that one.
Yeah.
No, you can't have that one. Hey, Felipe, when we coming back? Coming back anytime soon?
Did you get yourself a job?
You applying for jobs over there?
Oh, no, I'm just having my NBA talk.
Oh, we knew that.
We knew.
Talking Bulls, talking Heat.
I will say that's the one. I probably should start sending you the link to Snapchat in all seriousness, because there's a private chat in there that if you have something that we're talking that you have to get to us, that you could actually type it.
Oh, yeah.
I almost asked you. See, I was afraid I was gonna text you in the chat room and say, Philly, you got any questions you want asked? But that meant you were gonna grab your microphone, because you don't get to do that. You're not there yet. But I would if you had a question.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
20 minutes past the hour. Final hour of Miller and Moulton this week. We're off tomorrow. So Merry Christmas to everyone, and thanks for your support in this now Act 3 we had to go network with the Florida Sports Network. Nice to be back. However, FSN Radio is how you can text the show if you haven't already. Send us one simple text, all one word, FSN Radio, and send it to 21,000, 21000. Then you're in, and you can text from now until the end of time. Or you could just keep supporting the show and watching Miller and Moulton on twitch.tv. You can follow us, you can subscribe to us, and goodness knows you can chime in with not just us, but with everybody watching on Twitch in the Twitch chat room. Big one tonight, Mark. Gasparillo Bowl. Big one. This is one of those scary games if you're a Gators fan.
David, I could argue it's the biggest Gasparilla Bowl ever. When are they ever going to get the University of Florida in the Gasparilla Bowl again?
Well, the University of Florida hopes never.
Right. I mean, it's thank goodness that UCF could still play, because if we'd had to see Florida and Florida State again, I don't know if we could have handled it, the rematch. But come on. For that area, for that bowl game, they don't sell out their bowl games unless they put a UCF or a USF in them, and then it's still not a guaranteed sellout. They should sell a ton of tickets for this thing tonight.
Oh, I believe it's sold out.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is it, UCF. You wanted them.
You got them.
They wouldn't give you home and home, so you wouldn't play them.
Money coming in on the Gators. It's gone from 6 to 6.5 to 7. I got to admit, I'd give UCF a real puncher's shot if Dylan Gabriel was still on the team, because he would have been healthy by now, and I thought he was an elite talent at quarterback, a fluke injury, and now he's left the program. And I got to give it up to Emory Jones, by the way. And I know Gator fans are never going to speak well of Emory Jones, the guy who waited his turn patiently behind Kyle Trask and did everything that was asked of him, maybe not as well as you would have liked, but has been, quite frankly, an ultimate Gator. He's been a great team player for 4 years in the program. And he knows new staff and new system, and this is not going to be the place for him going forward. So he's transferring. I mean, heck, don't you think he'd be perfect at UCF?
He might be. This could be a tryout.
Is this a job interview right here tonight?
I mean, do you walk across to Gus and say, Gus, just pay attention, because I can come do this for you next year?
Do you run out of bounds and look at him and go, so, got a scholarship? Is you jag back to the huddle?
Unlike Brady, who was telling Sean Payton to blank himself last week.
Well, not Sean
Or
Payton.
not Sean Payton.
Dennis Allen.
Dennis
right.
Allen, rather. Telling him to go blank himself last week. I think Emory's going to be going, I could do this for you, too.
Quick sidebar. I know Brady is not a good loser at all. He's a really bad loser, actually, for somebody who's a role model and a lot of things and all that. He is. He's a bad loser. I love it. I got to be honest. I'm not a child, all right? There's nobody in my house who's watching him in which he could influence them. He's not. I love the fact when he's getting yelled at by other coaches, he's yelling back at him and he's slamming, tablets. I'm sorry. I love it. I may be the only one. I love it.
No, you're not.
Okay. Good.
Well, just quick, David, you and I have done this a long time together. We don't always agree on things, but the core things that we agree on are the important ones. We like a sore loser. I don't want a guy that wins well on my team or loses well on my team. I don't.
Now, listen, I think it's very fair, and he should be criticized by certain people if you're going to praise him for certain things. Yes, he's a sore loser. He's a really bad loser, not shaking Nick Foles' hand. All right. And yeah, there's a petty side to Tom. There's no doubt about it. That's all fair. It should all be brought up. It doesn't mean I don't find it attractive.
Right. The handshaking thing bothers me. The breaking the tablet, the F-bomb at another coach, that's competitiveness.
Right. I agree with you. He should have.
The shaking hands, that one bothered. That's after the game.
Yes.
Suck it up.
Exactly.
You can shake a hand and still hate the guy and be bitter about that
Right.
team beating you. I don't care.
Yeah, you got guys come over after you beat them who want to pose for pictures with you. You could look Nick Foles in the eye and go, you know what, Nick, you got me again. Nice job. I agree with that. That's like a golf match.
That's petty.
Yes.
The breaking the tablet, the F off, that's just a competitive guy that's
Right.
mad.
Right. That's Jack Lambert saying to the Raiders, give me a 6-pack, a pack of smokes in 30 minutes, and let's do it again.
Right.
We'll have more Steelers and Raiders coming up in a bit. But UCF, Florida, the Gasparilla Bowl tonight, 7 o'clock, ESPN, by the way, for those of you that are so inclined. I'm warning you right now, they're trying to jam in a bowl game from 3:30 to 7 right before you.
That's not enough time.
No.
What's the game?
North Texas and Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, that's not going to be over with by the time your game starts. So plan on going to ESPN News for the start of coverage.
Yeah, I don't know if the Deuce is available or if they got hoops there or whatever.
Usually
So
they throw everything news, though, to start. That's kind
Right.
of always been their MO because they have nothing on that's live programming. So pay attention. Maybe the U would end up with the game for the beginning, but it will more than likely not start on the 4-letter network tonight. I like the Gators. I like them laying the points. I think they're going to run and hide from UCF for the reason that you said before. If they had their quarterback, it would be a different animal.
This year has not gone as well for UCF as I think most everyone who's a fan of the program thought it would go. Now, granted, if I had told you that Gabriel was going to get hurt about a month into the season, maybe 8-4 is about the result that you would have expected. But Mark, also in going 8-4, there were times in which they just didn't look as good as what I think some of us feel their talent was.
Well, they're 8-4. They should have lost to East Carolina. They got lucky in that win. I mean, they didn't.
They struggled for a long time with South Florida.
Right.
So
it's an 8-4 that wasn't a very spectacular 8-4 either.
And I think Gus needs a good performance tonight. They just, I don't believe in momentum. Gary Danielson convinced me of that over the last 20 years. Okay. But I do believe in program momentum. I do believe that sometimes you can have a bowl game performance that carries over into off-season workouts, particularly when you're in your first or second year as a coach. I do think UCF needs to put an exclamation point or a better bow on this season.
Now, they did win 5 of their last 6 after losing to Cincinnati. However, they won a close one against Tulane, got whooped by SMU, and then they played Connecticut and USF, and USF they barely beat. So I'm with you that they need a good effort. I just don't know if they have it. That this should be, coaches don't need to give pep talks anymore. They really don't. Not at the college level to me anymore. Maybe at high school. But you've got to think that from an incentive standpoint, UCF should be jacked to play in this game.
Oh, my
Every
goodness.
one of these guys was passed over by the Gators for the most part.
Right. Passed over. Hell,
Not even looked at.
Most of them weren't even considered.
So we either find out why they weren't considered, or they pull them up and get after it and play a really competitive football game. Unfortunately, I think without a starting quarterback, without their main quarterback, I don't know if they can.
Keefe has done okay in relief, but he wasn't Dylan Gabriel. I will say I got to give the Gators a little credit for playing this game. I mean, we all know that the bowl matchups are very political. And if the Gators were dead set against playing UCF in the Gasparilla Bowl, they could have gotten reassigned elsewhere. I mean, it happens all the time. And I got to give them credit. I mean, this is what they think is going to be their worst team. Since Scott Strickland's been the AD, he had the one McElwain season that just imploded on him, but he's thinking, I'm going to be here for however many more years, and this is going to be the worst team that I have between now and that end date. I mean, this is when they're at their most vulnerable. They're in a coaching change. They got a bunch of guys who have opted out.
I actually do think the coaching change, believe it or not, if Mullen were still there, I think they'd be in more of a funk than they are. At least with the new coach, guys know that they're playing, that they have another opportunity, that maybe a second or third stringer. I actually don't think that hurts them as much as maybe you do, David. Because they had quit on Mullen. If Mullen was still there, more guys would be transferring. I don't know what they'd have. Put it this way, I don't think Emory Jones would be playing if Mullen were still there.
So the Gators and UCF tonight, it's Tampa, right? The Gasparilla Bowl?
Yes.
And yes, for those that are like, man, it's a little cooler tonight, I'm going to have to bring a jacket. Darn right, Char. Darn right, Char. Kickoff probably in the low 60s. I mean, damn. It's almost winter around these parts. I'll tune it in. I got to
Oh,
admit,
I'm in.
I have as much interest, if not more, in that game than I do in the Niners and the Titans.
For sure.
NFL Network, by the way, for the NFL game tonight. It's not on Fox. It's on NFL Network.
It's not close for me. I'm all in on the Gasparilla Bowl.
I do want to watch the first quarter of Niners Titans because as I said earlier this week, I think they're two of the 5 most physical teams in the league, and I am into slobber knocker football.
And the Niners have been terrific, 5-2 on the road this year, so this shouldn't phase them. That style of ball, the way they're playing right now,
And
Tennessee's banged up.
And 5-1 in their last 6 also. They're coming on. They could be the team in the NFC that's like, I don't know if I want to play them.
All right, I got the Gators winning and covering. You?
Winning, not covering.
There you have it. We still have Today Was a Day When, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what's on tap to finish out our final show before the Christmas holiday. Thanks so much for listening right here. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, if they get him back, I think they're expected to. But yes, missing left tackle, left guard tonight. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. Now, here's the question, though. All right. You think you know basketball a little bit. Okay. You think he can play Division I college?
I think that he can play. I think he got an offer from an HBCU.
Do you think he can play Division I college?
Yes. I've learned to never underestimate people. He's really unbelievable.
So you have 13 scholarships and you're a Division I head coach at an FGCU-like program. You'd offer him one of those 13?
FGCU-like program? No.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe like lower than FGCU.
So FAMU, Bethune,
right.
Okay, Longwood.
Right.
Okay.
Because think about it.
Well, I'm just asking.
It would sell. Like,
I don't know.
Oh, it would sell.
He'd be a fan favorite, but I don't know how many people would come to the game for him unless they knew he was playing a lot.
He has 1 million followers on Instagram.
I understand that.
Who?
Yeah. And you know who 999,000 of them are? People under the age of 30. You know what Southwest Florida is? A bunch of 68-year-old white people.
Exactly. Which is why he wouldn't go here.
Okay. Well, not necessarily. If the best offer he has is an HBCU and a legit Division I program, okay, with a chance to go to the tournament, okay, because remember, Liberty's leaving the ASUN. So is Jacksonville State after this year. I mean,
FGCU's be back where they were when you
they
first.
have a chance to start running.
Liberty's been there since you've been in, right? How long?
Yeah.
It's we've talked about it. If you ever listen, it's the single worst move that conference ever did, letting Liberty in. You let a team with a $2 billion endowment or whatever it is.
They're flying private to tennis matches.
Why was that a bad move, though?
Because they came in and they own this conference because they have more resources than everybody else, and they have a unique recruiting, thing, the religion factor.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, that's why, to be honest with you, I thought the AAC should have brought Liberty in because I think Liberty, with their money, has the potential to do what Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF have done because they're never going to lack for the money.
Because look, if he had 2 arms, I'm talking top 10 recruit.
Well, I understand,
Like,
but since he doesn't, you know,
obviously,
I mean,
yeah,
that's
since
a
he
big
doesn't,
if,
that's
by the way.
big if.
It's a big if, you know.
Yeah, obviously. But it's
It's kind of like saying if Kennedy wasn't shot, would we have ever gotten involved in Vietnam?
big if.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, big.
But we'll see. He's a senior now. He's graduating, so we'll see what the future holds.
You're going to love this. My birthday was Sunday. My best friend just texted me this morning and wished me happy birthday. That's outstanding.
David, I'm telling you, I told you and David Miller, they're the 2 people I don't know. Like I think I put Miller's in your phone. I'll put yours in my phone too. Because
What would you text your best friend 4 days later and wish him a happy birthday? I mean, that's funny. Come on. As guys go, that's funny.
Yeah, that's
4 days later, not the next day.
Did I wish you a happy birthday on Monday?
no.
Well, but I mean,
You
first
had-
off, guys don't care.
Yeah, guys don't care. And 2,
But-
no, you had breakfast on Monday.
Actually, it was Tuesday.
I know what it was, but the line was so much better that way.
know.
You know what?
Felipe, that will only bust you about it probably through the 2022 elections.
The
That's
entire
all.
time that you work here.
You'll see. I'll make it up.
Liberty.
No, it won't matter.
Liberty is a mini Notre Dame.
Emphasis on mini.
Yeah, I mean,
Twitch chat.
Vatican's still up on Farwell.
Twitch chat. I love you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Sorry for sucking.
Oh boy, there it is.
Look at that little self-loathing there.
Yep.
He didn't really mean it though.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
All right, we're going to get a lot done this segment. We're going to make our NFL picks while also doing good, bad, and ugly. Today was the day when, you know, what's on tap, all that sort of thing. We'll just quickly go through the games, winners and losers. That's it. No point spreads. You know, Mark finished about a handful of games above 500. I finished 3 games below 500. So, you know.
I think I might have got to the 56% this year. I definitely
you
think I
covered the
won
VIG.
money.
I think you covered the VIG. I mean, I think you took home about $13 after that,
Oh.
but I think you covered the VIG.
I only had a couple of losing weeks. I just
No,
had a
I
lot
know.
of 3 and 2s.
You did, right? Which is unlike us. Usually we have, you know, we blow things up 1 or 2 weeks.
Tennessee's a home dog. I know we're not doing point spreads. We're just picking winners, but you want to do the game? You said we're picking NFL games.
Yeah, okay. You want to do it now?
Well, I had them out. You kind of threw me there.
Let's go.
All right, Tennessee 49ers. I'm going to take the Titans.
I'm going to take the Niners. Too many injuries for the Titans. The fact that they can't protect Tannehill, he's tied for the most sacks in the NFL. Him and Burrow, by the way, have both been sacked 41 times.
A.J. Brown might be back tonight. That's the reason I'm going with Tennessee. I'd take Green Bay big. Love them.
Yeah, I like them to cover. Also, it'll be a party Christmas Day at Lambeau. Snow not expected, by the way. In fact, a little bit more milder than usual. I think temperatures at kickoff expected to be just above freezing.
I'll take the Colts over the Cardinals on Christmas night on the road.
I'm gonna take Arizona. Just don't ask me why. I will say they are a much different team at home and not in a good way.
I'm going to take the Lions over the Falcons.
Look at you.
On the road even.
Yeah, I'm going to take Atlanta.
All right. I'll take the Eagles with you over the Giants. I did forget when you said that the Giants won the first game. They're certainly not sweeping the Eagles.
I think the Eagles could be last week's Buffalo pick, where the line looks big and you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to lay that. I think I might back up the truck on the Eagles in the 9.5.
Maybe the most important 1:00 game of the day, Jags, Jets. If I'm right about the Lions, this could be the first overall pick for the loser. Who gets it? I'm going to say that the Jags win.
I'm going to say Jets, even though it looks like they'll be without their head coach, Robert Saleh.
Bucks laying 10 against Carolina. I think they win. I don't know if they cover.
I'm right there with you. I don't think they cover. Cam is going to start, but it looks like we're going to see a little Sam Darnold.
Chargers laying a big number over the Texans. I would take the Chargers. I wouldn't even be afraid to lay the 10, David.
I would because of COVID. They got a bunch of guys out, but I do think they'll win.
Bills, Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking the Bills.
I'm taking the Patriots, quite frankly. Until Buffalo can prove that they can beat a good team and have to play the style of ball that you need to play to beat a good team, I'm going to take New England. I think Buffalo has more talent, by the way.
Rams and Vikings, what David just said, I'll take the Rams.
And I'm taking the Vikings because I am dying on that hill.
Yes, and you could be a dead man come Monday morning.
No
if
doubt
I'm right
about
with
it.
That one.
I'll say this, though. Cook didn't have a big day, and Cousins threw for 75 yards. I don't think that'll happen 2 weeks in a row.
I'm going to take, Bengals and Ravens. This is such a tough one. Bengals won the first one. Ravens also banged up. I'm going to take the Bengals at home, David.
All right. I've given them 3 chances. 3 chances in which I've said, you know what? This is not your dad's Bengals. This is a different Bengals team. They're 0 for 3. The Ravens have lost their last 3 games by a total of 4 points. I know what I'm going to get from Baltimore. I'm going to get a good, solid, consistent effort. I don't know what I'm going to get from the Bengals, who I think at this point in time are better. Mark, when's the last time the Cincinnati Bengals won a big game? I'm taking Baltimore.
Yep. I think the final score, by the way, is going to be 21-20. Harbaugh goes for 2 and doesn't get it.
That would be legendary. Legendary if it happened.
I'll take Seattle over the Bears. They're home.
I guess. I'll tell you what. No joy in Mudville in Seattle.
No. Raiders or Broncos in a pick'em game. It's in Vegas.
Yeah,
I'm going to take the Broncos.
I'm going to take the Raiders, although I am really curious to see Drew Lock. Of all the quarterbacks that I have seen in the SEC in the last 15 years, there are only 2 quarterbacks who threw the ball better than Drew Lock. I'm not saying he's the 3rd best quarterback I saw, but in terms of just standing and throwing the ball, Drew Lock can really spin it.
I'll take Kansas City to win, and I'll actually take him to win and cover against Pittsburgh. Last week was a fluke.
You know, both Tyreek and Travis are on the COVID list.
I know.
I'd really love an answer. I'll gamble that one of them plays and they win. If 2 of them play, they'll cover. But we did say, is Pittsburgh going to get the break of breaks here? Hill and Kelsey are on the COVID list. Say it out loud.
Gotcha.
All right.
I gotcha. And I'll take Dallas over Washington.
Yes.
And then we'll discuss the Saints and the Dolphins on Monday when we have time to do that. That leads us. Now it is time for
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When.
That could be Garrett Gilbert on Sunday night for Washington. Now, last week at this time, he was on the Patriots practice squad. He could have 2 nationally televised games in a row. Welcome to the NFL. 1888. I'm getting right to it. I'm starting with the lead. Vincent van Gogh cuts off his left ear with a razor in an argument, and he sends the ear to a prostitute for safekeeping. There. Beat that.
all right.
1888. 1939. It was another big day. Great Britain and France declared war on Hitler and Nazi Germany. That's going all in. 1951, first nationally televised NFL championship game, coast to coast. I want to channel my inner Berman here. Norm Van Brocklin with the game-winning touchdown pass. Rams 24, Browns 17. 1968, we orbited the moon. The first men to do so were Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and William Anders. 1971, Nixon commutes Jimmy Hoffa's prison sentence. He was sentenced to 13 years. Nixon let him off after 5. I'm sure it had nothing to do with the fact that it was an election year the next year, and
Might have needed the Teamsters a little bit.
Hoffa was going to help him with the union vote.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, there was just a coincidence,
Or just fix it.
Right. There are a couple of historic events on this day. The trivial, the Immaculate Reception. Franco Harris, Steelers beating the Raiders 13-7, final play of the game.
Raiders fans will call that an incomplete pass.
John Madden, to this day, nothing triggers him. That to him is John Elway and the band coming on the field. Madden at least will talk about the Immaculate Reception. John Elway has never spoken publicly about his last college football game.
Makes no sense.
It really bothers him.
he's 60-something years old. Lighten up, John.
Also on this day, and a movie was made of it, 16 plane crash victims are rescued after spending 72 days in the Andean mountains. They had to resort to cannibalism to survive.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's a toe tapper of a story.
Catch that right after you watch Schindler's List.
At 75, listen, those of you that are younger, like Felipe, you don't believe us. Those of us of a certain age, how serious we were going to the metric system. On this date in 75, Congress passes the Metric Conversion Act. This was happening. We're doing this.
Yeah, of course we are.
Spent 2 years of grade school learning the metric system. Got to junior high, and I'm like, hey, what are we converting?
Got to learn the metric system.
Right.
It's going to be really important.
Yep, sure is. I'll take your kilometer right here. Brian Trottier, in the second period against the Rangers in 78, had 4 goals and 2 assists. It's in one period. And the rest of the game, he was slacking. He only added a goal and an assist. How about that for a night? 5 goals, 3 assists. That's all right. The Rangers beat him in the playoffs in the spring. 93, the movie Philadelphia opens in theaters. Big day in 94. Whitey Bulger flees Boston, sensing he's going to be arrested.
Took him a while to find him.
16 years, in fact. Also on this day in 1994, Major League Baseball owners impose a salary cap. And the players said, over our dead bodies. And 5 months later, the players won. 1997, Phil Jackson gets his 500th win in just 682 games, by the way. And Yari Curry scored his 600th goal. But, Mark, the movie As Good as It Gets was released. Jack Nicholson, Helen
Great
Hunt,
film.
Greg Kinnear with a great role.
He's spectacular in that movie.
It was 14 years ago today that the Patriots improved to 15-0. No one had ever been 15-0 in a regular season before. They beat the Dolphins 28-7. And in 2008, the Celtics won a franchise record 19th straight game. Think about it. Of all the franchises in the league, the Celtics, greatest franchise in league history?
Yes.
Yeah. And it was that team that set the record for most wins in a row with 19 straight. For those that have passed, Mark, Paul Hornung was born on this date in 1935, and Packers teammate Willie Wood, born on this date in 1936. Jerry Koosman, I got to admit, a little bit from me. Jerry Koosman, 79 years old today. Bill Rogers, the marathoner, won 4 New York City and 4 Boston marathoners, is 74 today. Jack Ham is 73. Jim Harbaugh is 58. Peter Klima is 57. And Hanley Ramirez is 38 years old. And that is Today Was the Day.
Just 2 birthday omissions for me. Harry Shearer from Spinal Tap, does a bunch of voices on The Simpsons, a very funny human being. He is 78 today. And Edward Lewis Stevenson III is 57. You would know him better as Eddie Vedder.
Oh. What is that again? Eddie Stevenson?
Edward Lewis Stevenson III. He took his mother's surname for his professional name, Vedder.
So do you think they called him Teddy? Think he was Teddy Stevenson?
Don't know.
No? I was just wondering.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
I have got one of the best goods ever. David Johnson. He's a 6th grader that lives in Oklahoma. He had a hell of a day last week. I guess 2 weeks ago on the 9th. The 11-year-old at lunch performed the Heimlich maneuver on a choking student that stumbled into the classroom.
Wow.
Apparently, the kid had taken a water bottle, used his mouth to loosen the cap, and started choking on the cap of the water bottle. David jumps into action. Heimlich, cap comes out. Then on his way home from school, if that wasn't enough, he sees a house fire, goes into the house, and rescues an elderly woman.
Come on.
I'm not joking.
Seriously?
I'm not making this up.
And if Patty Sisolak doesn't go with him to the prom, let me tell you.
I'll tell you what. The Muskogee, Oklahoma mayor named December 9th Davon Johnson Day. Well deserved.
A day? Hey, give him a week at least.
For the bad, we go to Davie, Florida, where a bunch of moviegoers were freaking out because a car backfired. It led South Florida police to evacuate moviegoers after receiving multiple reports of an active shooter. It was just an active car.
Need a new car, dude.
Finally, the ugly, we go to Erie County, Pennsylvania, where a man has been accused of fleeing a hit-and-run accident. The reason they think he did it is that he dropped off his 6-year-old at school covered in glass.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
The driver was 63-year-old Samuel Dennis. He's an idiot. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, December the 23rd, 2021.
Not a whole lot going on in college hoops today. Although basically at midnight, ESPN2, South Florida is playing Hawaii in a tournament game. St. John's Butler, probably the best game on the docket for those of you into that sort of thing. There's no hockey. There's the one NFL game. There's the Gasparilla Bowl, of course. And there's also at 3:30 this afternoon, Miami of Ohio, 2.5-point favorite against North Texas, Mark, in the Frisco Football Classic.
Nothing like starting that thing at what, 12:30?
12:30 local time, yeah.
On a Wednesday.
With Miami of Ohio and North Texas. Boy, I'll tell you, over under 11-7.
Under. Way under. Way under. I mean, you mean 11 or 7 people there? Which one?
No, talking 11,700.
I know. Want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. We thank you immensely for following us from Act 1 to Act 2 and Act 3. And if you just found us at Act 3, we thank you for that as well. Florida Sports Network will hopefully be growing in 2022. We're glad that you've come along for the first part of this ride and really appreciate all of your different ways that you communicate with us, whether it's in the Twitch room, whether it's the text, whether it's the guy who took a tweet that I sent from the city of Palms and circled his head and said, "Hey, that's me. Hi. Hope you enjoyed the game as well."
Do want to say, apparently it's in Frisco, Texas, so it's a 2:30 local start. That's where they play the Division I AA National Championship. That's Jerry's like glorified, the cute little stadium he's thrown together, near the practice facility and all.
Gotcha.
That. So it's that Frisco Classic. So
thank you for that, because I wouldn't have known otherwise.
No.
And I can guarantee you I'm not going to watch one play that happens before 7 p.m.
I still don't know how many people North Texas is going to get to go to the game.
I still go under on the 11-7.
So what's for Christmas dinner tomorrow again?
Prime rib. Oh, the 7 fishes tomorrow. Prime rib on Saturday. What are you having for Christmas dinner?
I have no idea what Fox has planned at Lambeau. I'm told nothing's open. Okay. Might be a double cheeseburger.
Enjoy Green Bay. I'd go with the Chinese food.
Just all I know is that I have bought the Fragile lamp. Okay. It may make an appearance in the booth. Look for it. Felipe, safe travels.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.